Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations, Emily Lee, for first comment of the day. You did it! Good job, Facebook user Emily Lee. Now, here's the thing, folks. We're going to get the show started in just about a minute, a little over a minute here. But I wanted to give everybody a heads up. Remember, head on over to CanaryCry.Party. Sign up for the newsletter. Of course, we send out the show notes every week, which is not just, it's just not for nothing, folks. It's got links to every single article and more that we cover in the show. And so it's a good way to solidify your access to those resources for your own conversations with people in your life. You can join the newsletter by heading over to CanaryCry.Party. There's all sorts of stuff you can find over there. You can follow us on multiple platforms, which you definitely should do. And you can join CanaryCry.Community, which is our non-Facebook social media network just for Canarians who listen to the show. It seems there are still people confused. When I say CanaryCry.Community, that is not Facebook. That's a totally separate thing. We do have a Canary Cry community group on Facebook. But, hey, if you can't get out of Facebook, that's the best you can do. Anywho, we're going to get the show started in just a second. Producership, let's just say there's a lot of room for people who want to become a producer of today's show. My virtual reality headset is going completely bonkers. So let's see if it settles down in a second. All right, folks, buckle your seatbelts, stay hydrated. Let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is September 20th, 2021. This is episode 391. And today, Market Messiah. Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast. Your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. That's what I'm supposed to say. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And hopefully the audio is okay for the live version here. I messed with some settings, and you never know. You just never know when you do that, so...
Yeah,
let us know
if
in the
you're
chat.
In the chat, I'm sure you'll let us know if things are good or bad. Well, Gonz, it's Monday again. We've done it. We made it through the weekend. Anything exciting happen this weekend?
Nope. Nothing exciting.
Nope, just the time warp continues, folks.
Yeah.
It's already September 20th. Okay, that's fun. Well, we had some interesting news happen over the weekend, so should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, we're going to call upon the Prayducers right from the get-go here.
Prayducers, assemble!
There are many reasons for praying for us, for producers, for people out there in all kinds of different situations, but, I just thought... For the intro of the show, we should just mention, this is NBC News, volcano erupts in Canary Islands. Lava threatens homes, 1,000 people evacuated. Have you seen the video footage of this thing?
I saw some screenshots.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. I mean, it's your typical eruption. You got like lava coming down the street, and at nighttime it looks really epic and everything else. So, yeah, it's always kind of freaky. It always kind of reminds me of God's sovereign power over creation. When a volcano goes off, it's like God is popping a zit or something.
Okay. Yeah, well, we certainly, we want everybody to be safe over there in the Canary Islands, of course. we share a namesake, so
I know. Yeah, if there's anything, if the least reasons why, but of course, people are mentioning it to us. So it's always creepy though when you see the footage. And you see houses nearby and stuff. It's always disturbing, troubling. It reminds you of Pompeii. What the people must have seen there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's crazy. Of course, in the U.S., most people have literally zero reference point for what it's like to have a river of lava coming down your neighborhood. That's got to be a whole nother level of natural disaster. So, of course, we're praying for the Canary Islands, folks. Before we go into this next little bit you have here, I do want to mention just at the top here, in case anybody missed it the last couple episodes, I do want to mention that Ravel, my podcast that I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, PhD in biblical interpretation. We had another episode drop yesterday on Sunday. So if you're out there and you have not checked out Ravel yet, you should definitely do that. Just search for Ravel on Apple Podcasts and take a listen. Feel free to start at the beginning of episode 1 or even before episode 1, the prolegomena. It's good background info for what you're getting into. But yeah, please go check that out. Thank you for everybody who has checked it out, and thank you for leaving those nice ratings and reviews. It's really helping give a nice little boost to the new project. So there you go. If you need some biblical content in your week in between episodes of Canary Cry News Talk, go check it out. It's Ravel. Remember, there's 2 different Ravels. Somebody else stole our name. We are the one with the cool logo, the one with the white background. Go check it out. Okay.
Just to mention, you said most Americans don't have any experience with volcanoes. In 1980, Mount St. Helens went off, and that was a huge explosion up in Washington. And I always loved the references because when I was looking at creation versus evolution, a lot of the debates, one of the things that was always mentioned was they took rocks that formed out of the volcano in 1980 and they brought it to the lab, and they're like, how old is this rock? And the labs were like, it is 70,000 million years old. And they're like, nope, it's 3 years old from St. Helens, So it's always one of those talking points against evolution. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Well, no, I'm just trying to understand the logic of it. They're saying the rock is didn't exist before the explosion, like the rock was newly
lava
formed.
The lava comes down, it forms new rocks, right?
Sure.
And they bring it to the lab and say, how old is this rock? And then the lab says, however old, it's like, millions or whatever years old. And it's like, no, it's not. It just formed,
Okay. I would assume that they are doing carbon dating, so they're dating the carbon in the rock, not the formation of the rock itself. But what do I know?
Yeah, what do you know?
Carbon dating's a crock, anyways. All right.
Yeah, so I just wanted to start things off with that. The big news over the weekend, a Chinese company crashed. Thank you, China.
Welcome to Chinese News! Our top news!
Uh-oh.
What is that?
That's the full jingle.
We haven't extended. I never even heard that extended
You
one.
have. You just don't remember. That's the full thing. You made me shorten it a long time ago. You're like, it's too long. But anyway.
Okay.
Anything over 3 seconds, you get all amped about how long jingles are.
Yeah, I do, and so do you. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Goodness gracious, buddy.
Oh, it's too early for this, Cons. Just tell me what you're trying to tell me.
All right, so BBC headline, Evergrande, embattled China property giant sparks economy fears. And it says here, Chinese company Evergrande has started to repay investors in its wealth management business with property as the world's most indebted real estate developer faces a key test this week.
Whoopsies.
Major banks have reportedly been told that they won't receive interest payments on loans that are due Monday. while interest payments of $84 million on the firm's bonds are also due on Thursday. The company's shares fell by more than 10% in Hong Kong trade on Monday. The property giant's deepening debt problems have triggered fears over the impact of its potential collapse could have on China's economy. So, yeah, it's a real estate company in China, and people are saying, is this the Lehman Brothers moment for China? And a lot of people are saying, no, they're going to bail them out. It's not going to be like that. So we'll see. But if you look at the markets, they're tumbling, man. Like, everything is down. Everything is shutting down. So be afraid.
Yeah, well, it'll be an interesting process to watch. Of course, we've seen China sort of operate a controlled demolition of large parts of its economy over the past year or two, breaking apart their largest corporations and things like that. So, on one hand, if history serves, nation states will always back these humongous companies, too big to fail companies. But their recent behavior towards their biggest economic forces, it does make me question, will they just let this one die or use it as an opportunity to, pull it even further under government control?
Yeah.
But it will also be, it is interesting to see this affect markets across the world, not just stock markets or real estate markets, but also cryptocurrency markets took a hit this morning. And, much how in 2008, the U.S. housing crisis, caused a recession across the world, not just in the U.S. This is going to be an interesting sort of a test tube situation to see if China's growing influence will be reflected in real estate markets, across the world. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. Of course, I hope it doesn't, but China's economic influence has been growing over the past 12, 13 years since 2008, and we'll see how this continues to reverberate.
Yeah, there's an analyst named Tom Luongo over at investing.com, and he said something interesting about this whole thing. He says that Xi is doing pretty much what Russia did about a decade ago, Vladimir Putin, eventually to destroy the color revolution forces mounting there, kicking out foreign NGOs, cracking down on foreign journalism, jailing oligarchs, and rooting out IMF-influenced financial liberals at the Bank of Russia. So they're doing very similar things as Russia did a decade ago. And, taking over Hong Kong and just getting rid of any foreign influence within the country that's not complicit to their whole, communist system. And, it's really, he calls out G, but then also says, like, hey, even societal vampire George Soros called him out, and he's like, I guess it takes one to know one. So it's pretty funny. But, we'll see what happens. And, the economic turmoil, the cascading effects worldwide, we'll see what happens as, markets are changing. We have the emergence of crypto, as you mentioned, even though it's down. 660 points down on the U.S. What is this? I think it's the S&P. No, not the S&P 500. The U.S. 30. So yeah, I mean, this is a big crash. Just a note, real quick. This article was published on BusinessInsider.com. Listen to this headline, okay? 4 altcoins to buy. A 12-year banking veteran says the biggest generational wealth transfer that's about to take place will trigger a parabolic bull run in crypto. He explains how he's maximizing gains on the cryptos he's holding. That is the longest title. And there's a picture of the guy, and his name's Coach JV. And the article says here, the World Economic Forum called these radical changes the Great Reset and themed its pandemic-era annual meeting last year by that name. And some key components of the Fourth Industrial Revolution with impacts from technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, the Internet of Things, just to name a few. But what do these macro concepts mean to the average person? For crypto entrepreneur Coach JV, a pseudonym tied to a Viking-like fitness persona.
Cool.
It's a move towards a highly digital and decentralized world. So what 4 cryptos does he recommend here? Let me get to that part just to cut to the chase.
Call, baby? What's the call? Come on now.
It says he has about 21 different cryptos in his portfolio, but his main investments are Ethereum, VACCINE. VACCINE is a Chinese company. It's a supply chain management one. It'll be interesting to see if that, rises as the China tries to move things around. XRP, Ripple, and Cardano. So there you go. Ethereum, VACCINE, XRP, and Cardano.
Okay.
Yep. So there you go. Not financial advice, but the financial advice of the Viking fitness persona.
The crypto Viking.
Crypto Viking says, get those coins for generational wealth. So it is true that, we are changing hands in terms of the economy, the infrastructure. But I don't know. I don't know if it means... It's so interesting right now because you got all these crypto influencers saying like, oh, the bull run's over in 2 weeks. We're going to hit 100,000 in 2 weeks. And other people are saying, no, it's going to extend a little longer. Q4 is going to be crazy. It's just kind of interesting to watch all the stuff going on. And then is this considered a black swan event? This Chinese Evergrande crash, fears, whatever you call it?
I think it's at least one in the making. Yeah, I think it will definitely be black swan if China does not step in. Yeah, or the CCP does not step in and save it. I mean, that's going to be billions of dollars down the drain for some of China's largest investors. What if they just print a whole bunch of CBDCs? Well, it fits right into the Great Reset. Crisis that would require a global response. Yeah. According to the Great Reset. Yeah, the Great Reset. Yeah, the AP said Fed likely to signal a coming pullback in economic support. So, I mean, like, the combination between China's company here going down and the Fed saying, like, hey, we're done with economic support for the pandemic. We're going to bust out some deflation. Pump some power back into the dollar, and that can really hurt assets, because right now all the inflation is being held in assets. Mm-hmm. So, good for cheap buy, bad for American economy. Totally. And one last thing real quick before we go into everything here. There is a document that it was a proposal to the Federal Reserve. I think it's just the Fed. Oh, shoot. I just lost the page. I had it here. Basically, in this document, it's like a, 100 page, 150 page proposal for this. You know how laws are, economic laws especially. They just ramble on and on. Ramble on and on and on. Basically, what they propose is this thing where all companies have to, banks can pretty much call out, or not banks, I'm sorry. The IRS can now bypass banks and keep track of the company's financial information. Any company that has a low de minimis gross flow threshold of $600. What? $600. That's what the proposal is. What is that threshold, though? That's got to be some fancy banking term. It just means like gross product, the money that they hold. $600. I mean, what company has less than? Right. I mean, that's got to mean something else, because every company holds $600. I think that's the point. So basically, this proposal would create a comprehensive financial account information reporting regime. Financial institutions would report data on financial accounts in an information return. The annual return will report gross inflows and outflows with a breakdown for physical cash, transactions with the foreign account, and transfers to and from another account with the same owner. This requirement would apply to all business and personal accounts from financial institutions, including bank,
loan and investment accounts, with the exception of accounts below a low de minimis gross flow threshold of $600 or fair market value of $600.
That is bizarre.
That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Well, that's just to put it in simple terms. That means, as it stands now, if you're a company or no matter what your company is, you do your reporting to the government, usually just through taxes, whether
it's a lump sum. It's a summary. Yeah.
You give them the relevant information on your tax returns and stuff like that. But this makes it look like every single transaction a company does is recorded and sent to the government. So not only they don't just get those big numbers that you send in on your tax return, they literally see every purchase and sale you make.
You know what this is? This is also
gnarly.
Well, this is also a setup for the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, which will do all of it for you. Put in the law, make it really inconvenient.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, look, if you just use the CBDCs, everything is tracked for you.
It's automatically reported.
The government will track it for you. So I hope it doesn't pass. This is still a proposal. But this is the direction that it's moving in. It even mentions crypto here. Similar reporting requirements would apply to crypto asset exchanges and custodians. Separately, reporting requirements would apply in cases in which taxpayer buy crypto assets from one broker and then blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So, it's just one of those things where the government is saying, like, hey, all of you, every citizen, you're all under suspicion. You're all criminals under our eye until proven innocent.
Who is proposing this? And which house of the legislature is it in right now?
I'm not 100% sure.
It's one thing for some, wild backseat Democrat congressperson.
This is Department of Treasury.
Okay, well that's something else then. Yeah.
This is. It's not like, I don't think it's partisan. I think it's straight up.
So this
just
is more
the
like
government.
a regulation being developed by the Department of Treasury, not legislation being put through. The correct process to make a law.
Yeah, well, that went out the window, it seems. But yes, anyway, just some notes to keep in mind. Financially, things seem to be as turbulent as ever.
A little shaky.
Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. All right, well, I think it's time for the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. If you don't know, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, got an interesting thing here from Interesting Engineering, Gons. And the headline is, a robotic arm prototype can think without humans and move itself. Ooh. Leave it to James Bruton, a British robotics expert, electrical and mechanical engineer, and part-time Iron Man cosplayer, who create a prosthetic limb that can move on its own, all thanks to the power of machine learning and a Raspberry Pi Zero W. In this video, he attempts to use machine learning to control a prosthetic arm, which he designed and 3D printed from his other body motions by training it via various postures while wearing a motion capture suit. In the end, the arm does what it's supposed to do successfully, even though he has to reposture one of his arms slightly. The arm is mounted on a backpack and performs effectively in simple activities such as raising when he lifts his left leg and lowering when he raises his right leg. He explains that in the future, he plans to add more sensors to detect more activities, as well as employ electromyography to sense brain waves via a headband rather than subdermal probes. subdermal probes. Oh no. If you're curious to see how he managed to pull this project off, make sure you watch the video embedded above, etc., etc. So yes, we've got this video here, and yes, this is a fancy British robot man who's created a prosthetic robotic arm attached to a backpack that you can wear. So essentially giving him 3 arms that he can control and do stuff with. It's a rather long video and goes through his entire process. But, you know, for an Iron Man cosplayer, he sure is making headway in integrating man and machine, making FLIPPY. No longer is FLIPPY simply flipping your burgers or manufacturing your goods or taking your job. FLIPPY now becomes a part of you.
Iron mixed with miry clay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The interesting... I still think it's funny that he's a part-time Iron Man cosplayer, as opposed to like a full-time.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough market, Gons. In this economy, if you want to become a full-time Iron Man cosplayer, you got to get really lucky. You got to know the right people. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos like this on YouTube of people coming up with machines and different gadgets, and I mean, he looks pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. But hey,
who's he?
The guy with the yeah.
Well, what is ridiculous about him?
I mean, he's got all kinds of wires
you mean with the thing?
Yeah, no, not him, not the person.
Like,
I'm talking about
like his face.
His face annoys me. This Bruton guy, I can't trust him. No, just the garb, you know. I mean, if he's a part-time Iron Man cosplay guy, he's probably used to machines all over his body. But I don't know.
Prototype. It's a prototype. You know, prototypes are always a bit clunky. I mean, of course, we all remember Tony Stark's prototype Iron Man suit. That was clunky as all get out. Come on now, give Bruton a chance.
At least he's getting some exercise in teaching the robot arm all the movements that it would need.
Well, and here's another interesting part of it is, of course, we know big robotics corporations and, you know, evil lizard people are trying to figure out how to get the robots to take over the world and integrate with human beings. This Bruton guy is an interesting situation because he's a, you know, big time YouTuber type of guy. I'm sure he makes a lot of money on his YouTube channel, but it sort of allows him to make a career out of tinkering and making things like this. But rather than looking for government contracts and being funded by DARPA and being, you know, getting all this secret money, he's funded by advertisements. The ad industry is paying for this guy to basically, you know, create very interesting innovations in the robotic arm space. But he's doing it in a way that is also kind of part of the mind control. You know, he's in the culture. He gets a lot of views. So while he's being paid to develop the robot takeover, he's also in the process of mind controlling children to accept you know, merging man and machine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always my suspicion, and you know, there's no hard, concrete evidence for what I'm about to say here, just to, as a caveat. Okay. But it's always been my suspicion that by the time you get people like this dude on YouTube to figure things out, you know, with robotics or machines or quantum or whatever it may be, the military industrial complex, the elite, whoever, they have already solved it, and they're just kind of like, yeah, let the people, you know, sprinkle in the knowledge, let the people figure it out for themselves, so as to have some kind of immunity, you know, like, oh, we haven't figured out militarizing, weaponizing robot arms that think for themselves. It's this YouTuber who came up with it. So. Well,
I think the biggest thing is not like he's doing something that they haven't already done. It's just, I think the cultural part of it is the more impactful aspect of his contribution to the movement, which is, you know, getting millions of views on a YouTube video and putting it in fun, colory Marvel branding. So,
you mean the externalization of the hierarchy? Is that what you're talking about?
Okay, sure. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, Alice Bailey's externalization of the hierarchy. You know, it's her whole deal that you get the masses you initiate the masses into understanding the New World Order. That was her whole deal.
And to buying into it.
Yeah. All right.
There you go. There's your Philippi update for the day.
Philippi?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like the Filipinos?
Is that what you heard? Is that what you heard me say?
That's kind of what I heard.
Okay.
Philippi or Philippi, from... Anyway, all right.
Sure, yeah.
Time for some COVID stuff.
Whee!
COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19,
COVID-19.
COVID-19, COVID-19.
Now that jingle was a little soft for me. I don't know if you brought that down.
Levels are all confusing. Was it soft out there in the live verse?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Chat, let us know if that was soft. It was soft for me, but that's okay.
It looks, according to the sound meters, it's just fine, but we'll see. Okay. Good. Yeah, this is the issue that I've been having, is to balance what you hear with what's being recorded with what live people hear. It's like juggling 3 flippy arms at the same time.
Yeah, if only you had an extra arm that was attached to your back that could work autonomously. Maybe we could save you some labor, Guns.
Yeah, I would be. My defense, my boxing defense game would be much better.
Ooh, 3-armed transhumanism boxing is a great sport that'll be coming to HBO pay-per-view.
Should I be the first? I'll document myself walking into the boxing gym with the arm strapped to myself and get Rudy's raw reaction.
See, here's the thing. I think you can start training now, and by the time, it actually becomes a thing, you'll be ready. You could be a pioneer in that new sport.
Okay. All right. Maybe this is our ticket to be on Joe Rogan.
Finally. Finally, we have something worth talking about with Joe Rogan.
All right, here's flip. Speaking of Flippy, Fauci flipping on boosters on CNN.
Do you think that advisory committee made a mistake? Do you think the FDA officials should ignore the advisory committee's recommendation?
No, not at all, Jake. I don't think they made a mistake, and the FDA absolutely should not ignore them. As we said in the beginning, we would want to plan for the possibility of vaccinating all those who have gotten their initial vaccination with Pfizer, and it was always pending the evaluation of all of the totality of the data from the United States, from Israel, and any bit of data that we could get by the advisory committee to the FDA. They did that in the proper deliberative process, and they came up with a recommendation, which I think is a good recommendation, because if you look at everyone over 65 and people from 18 to 64 with underlying conditions that make them more likely to have a severe outcome, and those who are 18 to 64 who by either institutional or occupational situation put them at a higher risk for exposure and infection, you're going to get a pretty good chunk of the population. So I don't think they made a mistake. But
this is interesting. I mean, I wish we had time to track down the clip of Fauci saying the only way that we're going to find immunity and beat COVID is with boosters. We're going to have them. We're definitely going to have them. And then, of course, after the fact, although we're pretty used to Fauci flipping. That might be the most realistic.
It wouldn't be Fauci if he didn't flip.
Flippy Fauci. There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. He says again, he takes note from the Biden administration. He just says whatever Biden wants him to say. And then, a little bit later when the science contradicts what he said or the FDA doesn't agree with him, then he just kind of falls in line because he can never be wrong. I do think it's interesting how he and some other outlets are spinning the FDA decision, because the decision was no, boosters are not needed for the general public. We're not going to give boosters. It's totally irrelevant. We don't have enough data, and the data we do have shows that it's not worth it. But CNN and other outlets like Fauci, they're spinning it with like, yeah, it's great. We got boosters approved for 65 and above, and for those with immune compromise, yada, yada, yada. So you got the sort of expected spin there. But this was also the first time Fauci mentioned the Israel situation. I mean, Fauci, again, literally said, don't pay attention to Israel. The Israeli daters is not relevant to us. And then in this clip, he's like, yeah, well, if you look at the data from Israel, yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay. All right, Flippy Fauci, whatever you say, buddy.
Get the data.
Yeah, well, not surprising. People want to hear the COVID jingle again, so moving on to the next clip here. Here it is, because you all love it.
COVID-19, 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 COVID-19. Coronavirus.
People love it. By the way, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, I had a weird dream over the weekend where I was setting up audio. I was doing tech work for some crazy large event, and I was kind of like messing up the live show thing.
Ooh.
And Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, yelled at me. He yelled at me. He's like, "Get it right."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, sorry."
Well, it wouldn't be the first time Jack Dorsey yelled at you.
This is weird. I woke up like, why is Jack Dorsey in my dream, number one?
Was he bearded? Did he have his beard?
Of course.
Oh,
yeah, he had the scruff look and the whole deal. But he was mad, but he was kind of chill mad, you know? You know how he is.
Jack Dorsey,
he wasn't like yelling at me. He was more like, I'm disappointed, you know? It's like, what in the world is going on? All right, sorry. So this is a clip that was shared. This is from the actual FDA Zoom call for before they voted. And Dr. Jessica Rose presented some of the reasons why they shouldn't do boosters. Audio quality is really bad. I tried to clean it up a little bit. It's a couple minutes long here. We can stop at any point, Basil, if you have any comments.
My name is Dr. Jessica Rose, and I'm a viral immunologist and computational biologist. This is a bar plot that shows the past 10 years of VAERS data plotted against the total number of adverse event reports for all vaccines for the years 2011 through 2020, and for COVID-associated products only for 2021.
Okay, hopefully people can hear that.
Wow, that is bad.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But the chart that she has...
This is FDA, folks.
This is FDA.
This is the quality of meeting that they're having.
So the chart is total VAERS counts and death counts for the past decade. And what you see is from 2011 to 2021 on the X there, the X side of the graph. And on the Y side, you have obviously the numbers. And you have total vaccine combined from 2011 to 2020, and it's 20,000 to 40,000 in range. And then in 2021, for total reports, it's up to 500,000, 521,000 or something like that. I mean, it just skyrockets, shoots straight up. And same thing with total VAERS reported deaths per year. Between 2011 and 2020, it's under 200 for each year. And this year alone, in 2021, it's 7,642 deaths.
Right.
So that's what she's pointing out here.
The left bar plot represents all adverse event reports, and the right bar plot represents all death adverse event reports. There There's an over 1,000% increase in the total number of adverse events for 2021, and we are not done with 2021. This is highly anomalous on both fronts. These increased reporting rates are not due to increased rates in injections and not due to simulated reporting. This has been shown using a comparative analysis of influenza data. The onus is on the public health officials, the FDA, the CDC, and policymakers to answer to these anomalies and acknowledge the clear risk signals emerging from VAERS data and to confront the issue of COVID injectable product use risks that, in my opinion, outweigh any potential benefit associated with these products, especially for children. This is a time series plot that shows the total cumulative number of cardiovascular, immunological, and neurological adverse events for 2021 associated with COVID products.
So this is a separate chart that she moved on to here. She only has like 2 or 3 minutes to present everything.
Yeah,
and
she is incredibly hard to understand.
It's hard to hear, yeah. So basically the point of this graph is that 1 in 660 individuals report an immunological AE in context of COVID-19 products, which again keeps going up. And she points to the fact that it's, the 2021 isn't even over yet, and we have all this data coming in that is just skyrocketing. And then this is where I think Fauci might have looked at the data and was like, evolutionary pressure on viruses to speed up mutations. And the chart shows what we identified, Basil, and not just us, other researchers, like independent armchair researchers out there, podcasters and stuff, is that the evolutionary pressure, the variants arrival after vaccines became distributed across the world,
right?
She shows it in a chart. And it actually has U.S. versus Israel. And she mentions how Israel is one of the highest vaccinated countries, yet the variants became widespread after a majority of the people in Israel got the vaccine. And it's hard to argue the data once it's out there.
Get the data.
Well, maybe that's why Fauci's flip-flopping. I'm not going to finish the clip just because the audio is so poor. So anything else you want to comment on from that?
No,
Basil?
I mean, I think that, speaks for itself.
Yeah. And it's pretty wild to think that on these calls, these doctors have like 2.5 minutes to present their case. It's like, all right, whatever.
Well, I mean, the good news about it is that it is being, at least by this one woman, presented to the FDA in earnest.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, considering how much criticism VAERS got, how much work they put into trying to discredit VAERS,
their own system,
their own system that they use for lots of the things. It's not like some weird little filing cabinet that nobody thinks about. They developed the system, they set the standards, and for the past year, it's just been, how much can we tear down our own system and yet keep it available and keep it up. And I don't know, it's just a really weird situation. So it's nice to see it being talked about in their public forum in these kind of decision-making opportunities.
Well, it's just funny because this doctor is like, hey, FDA, here's data from your database.
Right.
Speaking of the FDA here, there's a Business Insider article here. Former FDA commissioner said,
yes, I loved this.
Former FDA commissioner said the 6 feet social distancing rule is, quote, arbitrary and, quote, nobody knows where it came from.
Yeah. Mind if I read through this one here?
Go ahead, of course.
During a September 19th Face the Nation appearance, former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb made some claims regarding the CDC guidelines that we all stand 6 feet apart to prevent the spread of COVID-19 via social distancing. Quote, the 6 feet rule was arbitrary in and of itself, he told interviewer Margaret Brennan. Quote, nobody knows where it came from. Most people assume that 6 feet of distance, the recommendation for keeping 6 feet apart, comes out of some old studies related to flu, where droplets don't travel more than 6 feet, he added. Gottlieb, who published the National Coronavirus Response, a roadmap to reopening, with several other public health experts, a guide on how to manage the disease, also said the original recommendation was to keep people 10 feet apart, but that was shut down. Quote, the initial recommendation that the CDC brought to the White House was 10 feet, and a political appointee in the White House said, we can't recommend 10 feet, he said. Nobody can measure 10 feet. It's inoperable. Society will shut down. So the compromise was around 6 feet. These are the people in charge of our country. They're like, oh, no, we couldn't possibly ask people to be 10 feet away.
People don't know what 10 feet is.
How can you even measure 10 feet? That's impossible. It'll collapse society. No, we'll do 6 feet. The average man can lay down to, get the 6 feet, but we don't have any Nephilim walking around. So 10 feet is a little too arbitrary. Again, it just shows, as he's saying, the arbitrariness, but also the unscientific nature of it. It's like, well, CDC comes out, the science says 10 feet. Well, no, that's not very politically acceptable. So we'll change it to 6. Don't worry about it. Plus, the spell doesn't work unless it's 6 feet.
Yeah.
Because we need something. We need to give those conspiracy theorists something to freak out about. It goes on here. According to the CDC website, social distancing and staying 6 feet apart is still an official recommendation to stop the spread of COVID-19, and that's how it ends there. I love it. Not a whole lot of analysis into this, just reporting on Gottlieb saying, "Oh yeah, no, it's completely random. The CDC made a recommendation, but White House didn't like that, so we'll make it 6 feet."
Hey, basketball hoop is 10 feet high. You can kind of project how far 10 feet is.
How is anybody supposed to measure a 10 feet gone? Society would collapse.
I wonder if they went through the whole gamut, Well, what about 9?
Yeah. Well, keep that in mind, folks. To the level that society has collapsed with the 6 feet, think of how much more it would have collapsed if it was 10 feet.
Yeah. Praise God that they had these leaders,
our wise overlords, knew that we couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Well, let's go down under.
Clips.
I had to clip the only moment when there's not an F-bomb being thrown, because in Melbourne, construction workers are protesting the mandatory jab. And this is a little bit of what it sounded like. It's a lot of testosterone. I don't see a lot of women there, but
it's all the construction workers, man. Yeah. So this was the construction workers protesting the construction workers union, who was enforcing mandatory jabs. And in response to the construction workers protesting, the government shut down all construction for like 3 days or something as punishment. Like, oh, you're going to protest? Fine. No construction allowed, which is like, what is the Australian government thinking? You have a bunch of angry people who are in charge of literally building your country, and you're going to punish them for protesting by taking away their ability to work. What could a bunch of angry, strong men do with 3 days not being allowed to work? Well, they might start taking things apart. How about that?
Yeah, they're construction workers. They can deconstruct.
They can turn into deconstruction workers. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because unions traditionally are supposed to protect the wants and desires of the worker.
At least that's the idea.
That's the idea. Of course, it hasn't really worked out really.
Doesn't
in America.
always work out that way.
Yeah, but in this instance, this is really at the rub of what we've talked about. The issue, the differences in presupposition for what it means to love your neighbor. Because if you take on the presupposition that lock down, wear masks, think about your neighbor, think about the people that you can get sick. The problem, as we've pointed out many, many times, is that you are imposing this nebulous, ethereal concept of spreading this virus to people that are completely healthy.
Right.
And that's the problem. And I think that's where a lot of people around the world, around the countries, or around the world in Melbourne anyway, are recognizing that, and they don't want any kind of vaccine mandate. They're like, no, we're not going to abide by it.
Well, and there's been protests all around the world over the weekend. France was popping off. Australia, of course, was popping off in a few different places. We had an email from a producer about the Melbourne protest, which is, you may have seen the video going around.
Oh, yeah. That was the one where they break through the police line?
Yeah, so they had been kettled.
Yeah.
These protesters, they're marching peacefully, and then the police kettled them, which is a strategy where you sort of intimidate a protest into a narrow street or something where there's not an escape route, and then you push them from behind, force them into this spot, and then put a weaker force in front of them, and a stronger force behind them, which then forces the protest to break through the weaker force of cops, which is exactly what you see in the video. But it's basically manufacturing. It's a photo op. So they can show the protesters breaking through the line of cops and use it for propaganda.
Well, especially, I have the clip here for, we don't have to use the sound, but I'll just at least play it for viewers. It's one line of cops.
Oh, they did not plan to stop any protesters. There's 12 cops standing shoulder to shoulder. And usually, if cops want to stop a crowd of people, they'll have 3 ranks deep of cops with shields and full things. These were basically just casual cops, not even wearing helmets, who are expected to stop of 1,000 people.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
This was a manufactured photo op. But here's the thing I don't think they consider. Number one, they manufacture these photo ops to show, look how crazy these people are. We need to use this as evidence to strengthen the police, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they realize how victorious and radicalizing this thing can be, showing that people can actually overcome a tyrannical police force. So I think it can backfire. I think it has and will continue to backfire these little kettling operations that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't help that billionaires like Clive Palmer are out here exposing the situation in Australia.
More concerning to me personally is the fact that both Pfizer and AstraZeneca would not allow their products to be sold in Australia unless the Australian government gave them a full indemnity that if they killed anyone or maimed them, they wouldn't be responsible, the government would be. So I find that a very disturbing thing, that the government didn't take the view and say, well, if you're confident in your product, you should stand behind it.
Clive, what would you say right now to the people of Sydney, New South Wales, 1,600 cases, 1,800 cases a day, whatever they're up to at the moment. It's horrible what's going on, and there's people dying in hospital.
Yeah, well,
we've seen people die in hospital.
They're
not dying of fake disease. They're dying of COVID-19. You're up here today. It's irresponsible.
Well, I don't believe that,
But what would you say to those business owners that can't open their business because
I would say it's terrible.
Their Premier's telling them that the only way out is a double jab, and that's what they've been told.
Yeah, I'd say their Premier's lying to them. I'd say that she's under an IPAC inquiry, that a particular lobbyist in Sydney controls the Liberal Party in Sydney and has told her that the only way she gets out of that inquiry is if she pushes the double jab, and his clients are AstraZeneca and his clients are Pfizer. That's what I'd say.
That's political. What about the business owner that's being told he can't open his doors until he double jabs?
If you let me answer your question, I'll answer it.
You're just answering with
that's what
politics.
You asked me.
About people that are trying to open their businesses, people that live in border towns that are told they have to double jab.
Well, if you don't want me to answer the question, I'll answer the question to start with. That's what I'd tell them, and I'd say that what the Premier's telling them is not true, and that policy shouldn't be locked down. Businesses should be open, and the government's using this as an excuse to destroy them, and they know that.
Do you think that the Premier of New South Wales wants to destroy business?
I do.
Why would she do that?
Because
it's her economy.
Because she, as I tried to explain to you, that she's being directed by a lobbyist in Sydney who's being paid by AstraZeneca and by Pfizer tens of millions of dollars to get these policies through to make sure the vaccine is pushed. That's why. You asked the question, I gave you the answer. And that's my personal knowledge. And I'm happy to make a statement here to police or to anyone if they want to know what's going on.
Wow.
Strong
Happy
words.
to make a statement to police. Well, bro, okay, so let me first do a disclaimer, which is, any billionaire, I'm sure, is not the greatest guy. I'm sure this guy's got some skeletons in his closet.
Sure.
I'm not praising this man for being a good guy or anything like that. In fact, I'm sure he's done. You don't become a billionaire by doing some pretty nasty things.
Just before you get into it, he's number 775 on the Forbes list. He's worth $3.7 billion. He started most of his wealth came from his mining company, Mineralogy, that he started in 1984. And he built a portfolio on iron ore, thermal coal, and hydrocarbon assets.
Okay.
And he's an Australian native. So
okay, yeah. I'm saying there's probably loads of bad things about this guy.
Make
Especially in Australia and a mining company. Surely he's burned a village of Aboriginal tribes people to make room for mining.
Yes.
I'm not saying he's a good guy, but I'm saying you don't hear American billionaires coming flat out and telling the truth like this. And you could hear that the reporter, he's stuck in this circular logic, which is, well, if they don't get the jab, then their businesses won't open. Why are you telling them to not open their businesses? And he's like, no, they shouldn't be locking down the businesses. That's the whole point, but the reporter is stuck in this like liberal ideology of like, well, the businesses will shut down if you don't get vaccinated. How evil is that? It's like, yeah, the politicians making that the rule are the evil ones. They're holding them hostage based on what this guy is purporting is straightforward corruption of political prime ministers over there in Australia, where they're directly getting paid to make legislation on behalf of the vaccine companies, which we know is happening around the world. That is not like a revelation, but it's interesting to have a billionaire come out very strongly and just lay it out flat without I don't know. It just seems so straightforward from him, and I can't wait for an American billionaire to do the same.
It's it is a little Trumpian. I'm just looking at some headlines here for recent headlines in around the world, but mainly in Australia. The Daily Telegraph: Clive Palmer buys convicted tax fraudster Michael Isikidis's Gold Coast home. And then there's the Australian: ruin of Palmer's legacy lies across the nation.
Oh, of course he's kind of like the Australian Trump.
It's Trumpian. He's being a contrarian in that regard. But he probably is telling the truth when it comes to that, and that's why the media out there in Australia and around the world are going after this guy, at least in headlines. This is the best they can do.
He's also a smart guy too, because you could hear the reporter over and over trying to set up the soundbite.
Yeah.
And he kept interrupting him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let the reporter get the clean soundbite And that's why the reporter had to repeat it over and over and over, and he kept interrupting him. So his little soundbite wouldn't be good. So he's a smart guy, at least as far as using the media is concerned, similar to Trump in that way.
Yeah. All right. Back here in the U.S. where we reside, and I think where you reside, I don't know. We're not entirely sure about that.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. South Carolina Medical Affairs Committee. This was being shared around. I don't know too much detail about it, but the story this guy tells is pretty interesting. He's a medical professional, and this is what he had to say at the South Carolina Medical Affairs Committee on September 15th.
The next week, we dropped to like 7 or 8 COVID. I said, wow, 38, we're down to 7. I said, where did COVID go? This is great. And they said, yeah, you're going to have more regular patients, cardiac, GI bleeders, stuff like that. I said, great. So next week, we dropped down to 2 or 3. And I said, you got to be kidding me. Something's going on. And that's when I found out that on January the 20th, roughly, the CDC guidelines recommended that we roll the PCR cycling from the high 30s to 28, like it was originally designed to do. And then it hit me. And I lost sleep over it. I was having chest pain over it. And it woke me up in the middle of the night, like hit me hard. I could not sleep. I tossed and turned because my first week or two there, I didn't do it. I didn't lead them to the gate, but I'm the guy that euthanized people. They call it comfort care. But when you get to the point you can't take hikes or walk, you get so upset you ain't seen your family except maybe an iPad in weeks, and you're never going to come off the high floor. And the doctor says, you've done your best. You've done your best. But this is going to be it for you. And so the patients get all teary-eyed and upset, and they call in the palliative team, and they all hold their hand and cry, and they said, but we can keep you comfortable. Here comes Albert. He's got the morphine and Ativan, and I load him up, take off the high flow, and they gas themselves to death. And I'm the guy that's pushing the button, like in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. No, I didn't lead them there. And honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I just do what I'm told. It's not my fault. But after January the 20th and then on into February 1st or so, I saw what changing the PCR did on my floor. And then I saw what I had not done for my COVID patients.
Holy smokes.
Whole strong conviction there.
A couple things in there. Number one, he's mentioning the PCR manipulation.
Yep.
Where, the numbers are going down. Less people with COVID. Happened the day they cycled down the cycle threshold for the PCR tests, which we've documented for 2 years almost now.
Yeah.
Brought it from the high 30s, which is almost guaranteed to get you a positive COVID test, down to 28, which is a little bit more realistic. But this euthanization thing is pretty concerning.
I'm very curious as to how many more medical professionals will come out and have stories like this or mention things like this. Is this a one-off, or is this something where people are going to recognize and realize, what they participated in? And, and
again, it's due to the departmentalization. He kind of explains it here, but that's one of the biggest problems with what we've been dealing with.
How can you have a conspiracy where thousands of people knowingly hide the facts?
It's the classic, conspiracies don't exist because everybody would have to keep a secret. It's compartmentalization. Which means, this guy doesn't know the whole story on every person. He just gets the notice, hey, this person needs all the drugs. Come give him all the drugs. So he's never seen them before. He doesn't know anything about their case. He just gets the order to give them the drugs. He walks in, gives them the drugs. They die. He walks away. And for all he knows, he's told this is the only option. This is the last option, and they are choosing for this comfort care stuff. And that's him just doing his job. And that's part of the sinister part about, and it doesn't even need to necessarily be a full-on lizard person conspiracy, because it's compartmentalized all the way down. all the way down to the intake process in the hospital. You don't have one care provider bringing the person a patient all the way through the whole process, and it's really a rigged system in that way. I mean, it's similar to American politics. It's so compartmentalized that, you just make it to the next level and you just deal with whatever's there. And then you go to the next level and you deal with whoever and whatever's there. And there's no sort of cohesion or comprehensive flow to the whole thing that can keep an eye out for things that could go awry, just like this guy.
Yeah, and I think the sinister part of this, beyond just the compartmentalization, is the fact that, a lot of medical people get into medicine, healthcare, that kind of industry, because they want to help people. Yeah. They want to keep people comfortable in difficult situations, whatever it is. So the truly spiritually evil part of this is to take advantage of people's professions that are people that are there to help others, and and then abuse that and carry out this mass murdering, that took place. And who knows how many people were effectively killed in this process where, oh, you have COVID, you're not going to make it, but we can keep you comfortable. Yeah. And, it's just...
and it goes all the way down to the ventilator thing. Yeah. The ventilators were killing people. Yeah. But it's not because we had a bunch of homicidal ventilator technicians. Right. First of all, we didn't have enough ventilator technicians. And so, again, the ventilator technician gets the call, hey, come hook this guy up. Okay, here I go. And he's having to hook up 100 people. He just runs in, hooks them up, and has to run out. It's not a murderous ventilator technician. It's just this compartmentalization. And we've been hearing stuff like this from nurses all the way from the nursing homes, the hospice houses, things like this. I mean, this is not the first time that I think this guy lays it out more bluntly than we've heard it before. Yeah. I mean, he just comes right out and says it, but we've been hearing stuff along this lines for the entire pandemic, nurses being like, it's I don't know what happened. It's just the nursing home thing where you send including the Cuomo thing, sending sick people into a nursing home and then just going person by person and compartmentalizing their health care until the whole nursing home gets sick and dies.
But Cuomo does it to everybody.
I do it with everyone.
He loves he kisses everyone.
I do kiss people on the forehead.
Yeah, so he's not a bad guy.
And this is what happens when you silence any dissenting opinion.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's been people trying to talk about this for a year or more, but they just get silenced every time. They get called crazy conspiracy theory. They get kicked off of YouTube. They don't get invited onto the news. It's not like it's only a secret because it's being censored.
Yeah. I guess I've been trying to look at things as always from a spiritual perspective, and you look at the setup for something like this, years of building a hierarchy, building compliance, within the hierarchy.
Right.
And the trust and trust the science. If you're just listening to your uppers, you're trusting the science, just conflating different ideas and making it seem like it's something that it's not. Something this sinister, it's not so easily pulled off by just a group of people that are really evil. There's got to be a spiritual element to this. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. And I just wonder how many people, because right now in the U.S. it's they're counting about 700,000 dead from COVID and like 2 million worldwide or something.
No, 666,000.
Oh, sorry, 666,000. I thought it was at least 666,000. Mm-hmm. How many of those people really truly died from COVID?
Yeah, we'll never know.
Well,
I mean, we do kind of know. We know it's less than that.
Well, we know that the people
we have the evidence of hospital workers and hospital administrators planning to overcount.
Yeah.
We have the evidence of course, the classic gunshot victim and motorcycle crash guy.
There's
who got counted.
The 6% where the only cause of death labeled was COVID-19. The other 94%.
Yeah, the
having
comorbidities. 94%
yeah.
is due to comorbidities.
Yeah. So we have some suspicions there, but
it's
it just makes
suspicion. I mean, that's the ironic part about it. It's evidence. It's documented evidence.
I know, but if you're trying to
the evidence, you're crazy.
I get that.
Theorist.
But if you're trying to convince
you, I'm talking about the rest of the world.
I know, but it's just I don't understand how, even if you're towing the line of the other side of the argument, how is it that you can't see the evidence? Like, how is it that you ignore it? How is it that you just can't even consider it? It just blows my mind. I guess the mind control is strong.
Yeah, that's what it is. Here, I got an interesting one for you.
I was going to say, no need to fear, because
no jab needed.
No jab needed. This is coming to their salads.
A pandemic special.
jpost.com. Can you grow COVID-19 vaccine lettuce? UC Riverside scientists think so.
Oh, gosh.
Injectable vaccines could be a thing of the past, with University of California Riverside researchers investigating turning edible plants like lettuce into mRNA vaccine factories.
Why?
And make edible vaccines. Everybody called us crazy, Gons, for talking about them putting vaccines into food supplies. And here it is. The University of California Riverside is making mRNA vaccine factories and make make plants like lettuce into mRNA vaccine factories and make edible vaccines, which could have significant implications in combating COVID-19. Backed by a $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation. The project works by showing how DNA with mRNA vaccines can be delivered into plant cells in a way that lets them replicate. If this works, it could mean that plants could produce as much mRNA as a traditional vaccine injection. Ideally, quote, a single plant could produce enough mRNA to vaccinate a single person. UNCR's Department of Botany and Plant Sciences Professor Juan Pablo Giraldo said in a statement. Quote, we are testing this approach with spinach and lettuce and have long-term goals of people growing it in their own gardens.
Oh, no.
Grow your own vaccine, Gons.
Grow your own vaccine.
Added Giraldo, who is leading the research and working in collaboration with researchers from UC San Diego and Carnegie Mellon University. Classic. Quote, farmers could also eventually grow entire fields of it. Why? Why would you need this? But how do mRNA vaccines replicate inside of plants? The key, it turns out, are chloroplasts. These small organelles exist exclusively in plant cells and cannot be found in non-plant life forms, save for the amoeboid known as Paulinella chromatophora. The amount of chloroplasts per cell varies heavily depending on the plant. Inside the cell, they behave dynamically and serve a wide variety of functions, such as synthesizing fatty acids, amino acids, and helping the plant's immune response. But its most famous and crucial function is to conduct photosynthesis, where chlorophyll captures energy from the light of the sun and turning it into energy stored in ATP and NADPH molecules. This process allows it to free oxygen from water in the cells, and it also conducts what is known as the Calvin cycle, using ATP and NADPH to convert carbon dioxide into glucose. These processes are vital to maintaining the life of the plant. Yada, yada, yada. We didn't come here for biology lesson, Jerusalem Post. Our idea, this is a quote, our idea is to repurpose naturally occurring nanoparticles, namely plant viruses, for gene delivery to plants, Steinmetz said. Quote, some engineering goes into this to make the nanoparticles go into the chloroplasts and also to render them non-infectious toward the plant. If successful, these findings could revolutionize how vaccines are administered into the human body. This is especially relevant as vaccine hesitancy is strong in many places throughout the world. Something that in the COVID-19 pandemic, the most widely used vaccines for which are mRNA vaccines made by Pfizer and Moderna can contribute to rising cases. But this method could see vaccine hesitancy take a significant cut.
Oh my gosh.
This is because a significant amount of all vaccine hesitancy isn't simply rooted in doubts over the vaccine's effectiveness or misunderstandings about the virus and the vaccine's properties, but due to simple fear of needles.
Really?
Yeah, right, bro.
What?
These people know nothing. This was revealed in a study released in 2001, in June 2001 by University of Oxford.
2021.
What did I say?
2001.
Oh, yeah. Which suggested that treating fear of needles could reduce vaccine hesitancy by over 10%.
Ooh, 10%. Ooh.
This may be a small number, but as noted by Oxford's Department of Psychiatry Professor Daniel Freeman, quote, when it comes to controlling COVID-19, every vaccination counts.
Oh, my gosh.
Ask Israel if every vaccination counts.
You know what this is? This is healthy people. They're like, oh, how can we get the healthy people that are vaccine hezzies? They're like, oh, they eat salads. Yeah, let's put it in the lettuce there. You know
where every vaccination counts?
Where's that?
Pfizer's books. Pfizer's profit margin. That's where every vaccine counts.
Yeah. I gotta say, Bill de Blasio, profit Bill de Blasio.
Vaccination.
And also the guy who lost in the recall elections, one of the Kevins. If you are what you eat, then
vaccine.
I stepped on it. Then
I am vaccine.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, it's interesting. And of course, you bring this out to its sort of logical conclusion. It's time to start growing your own food, folks, because...
Well, even if you do, if they can...
Battle, well, sure. They could just put it in the seeds, that you buy at Walmart or whatever.
Or they can just spray it over you, even the Monsanto lawsuit where what was it? I can't remember the exact name, but
they're talking about the Roundup.
Was it the Roundup? I don't remember what the exacts were, but it basically went to neighboring farms, and they're like, "Oh, we own those farms now because
the corn pollinated nearby fields, right. Which gave it the patented gene code that Monsanto owns, right? But and combine that with the battle over GMO labeling. There's incredible legal battles going on about, do we have to label GMO products? Well, if that goes the right way, then they don't even have to label vaccine lettuce. And who knows, maybe you'll be getting vaccine lettuce in your restaurant salads. I mean, of course, we're sort of bringing this out to its complete logical conclusion or illogical conclusion. But, they already put fluoride in our water without consent and just say, oh, it's for the public good. We're putting fluoride in water. That's what we're doing. How is that any different from, oh, yeah, we're just putting the vaccines in all plants and all produce at the grocery store? It's for the public good. We're just going to do it.
I'm pretty sure we're going to start seeing the vaccine in meat products, because somebody will
lab grown meat products.
but also I think somebody will do a study of like, most vaccine hesitant are carnivores, and then they're like, well, we got to do is start injecting the mRNA into the cows, and then if you want your meat, pay more, and you got to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Just as a side note here, this is not a new idea. Last year, 2020, allianceforscience.cornell.edu published an article on May 6th, 2020. GMO tomato as edible COVID vaccine? Mexican scientists work to make it a reality. We may have reported on this. I don't remember.
Wait, what is the date of that?
May 6th, 2020.
2020. How were they putting a COVID vaccine into a tomato on May 6th? The vaccine didn't even exist yet, or so we're told.
Yeah, plants as vaccine biofactories.
So they had a vaccine ready to insert into the genes of a tomato. What is that? May, February, March, April,
like 3 or 4 months.
3 months after lockdown started, they have vaccine tomatoes.
The article talks about getting, HIV, polio, hepatitis B, rabies, HPV, that kind of stuff into the tomatoes. And then, logically, if we can do that, then we can do the COVID. What we've covered lettuce, we've covered tomatoes. Your hamburger is just going to be a vaccine bite.
The vaccine burger is closer and closer to reality.
I'm telling you, man, de Blasio, he was giving us a glimpse of the future.
It's true.
Vaccination. Vaccination.
Well, we had, during the initial vaccination process, we had lots of reports. I mean, overwhelming reports, tens of thousands of women talking about menstrual problems after getting the vaccine. And here's a story from BusinessInsider.com. COVID-19 vaccines' impact on menstrual cycles needs to be investigated after 30,000 women report changes, says top scientists. So this is just sort of another data point in this storyline. Of course, the NIH approved $1.6 million for a study. But since the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines, thousands of women in the UK have been saying that their periods have been disrupted, say experts. More than 30,000 women said their menstrual cycle being somewhat altered after getting the COVID-19 vaccine, reported Sky News. The UK's yellow card scheme, where people can voluntarily report their side effects to any medication, including vaccinations, has shown that many women have seen a disruption in their periods. Dr. Victoria Mail, that's funny. It's funny that the doctor's name is Dr. Mail, a reproductive immunologist from Imperial College London.
Spelled like M-A-L-E.
M-A-L-E, yeah. Wrote in the British Medical Journal that while these changes are safe and short-lived, has stated that an investigation as to why this happened is crucial. 9 months after the vaccine comes out. In the U.S., the National Institute of Health is investing $1.67 million into understanding how the COVID vaccines impact periods. Dr. Mail states that periods can be heavier or delayed because of an immune response and poses no danger to one's body. Quote, robust research into this possible adverse reaction remains critical to the overall success of the vaccination program. Notice it's all about the program, getting more people vaccinated, not necessarily about, the actual safety of the vaccine. It's about convincing people to take the vaccine. One important lesson is that the effects of medical interventions on menstruation should not be an afterthought in future research, wrote Dr. Mail. What I've been saying, folks. Writing in the Telegraph, Caroline Criado Perez, author of Invisible Women, said, quote, as with most clinical studies, the COVID-19 vaccine trials did not investigate menstrual cycle effects. In fact, in many trials, women are wholesale excluded because of potential menstrual cycle effects. There is no reason to be significantly concerned about menstrual changes and long-term impacts, writes Dr. Mail, as the vast majority of these reporting the post-vaccine alterations state that normality ensues quickly. What a slithery way to report that. Meanwhile, the data available shows that the COVID-19 vaccine has no adverse side effects on fertility and pregnancy. Oh, we should mention that to like the 400,000 women who are reporting miscarriages because of the vaccine, but that's none of my business. Okay, so there you go. So across the world, they're starting to wake up to the fact that, we probably should have studied this on women before we forced it on them.
Yeah, I'm reminded of a Good Morning America report we did. I was trying to find it, nail it down exactly which article it was, but if I'm not mistaken, there was one where one of the doctors for Good Morning America was addressing this topic, basically saying, oh, the physical and the emotional stresses of the pandemic is causing the irregularities in menstrual cycle. It was literally
the women are hysterical argument.
Yeah.
These crazy hysterical women think that the vaccine is affecting their menstrual cycle, but really they're just so stressed and illogical.
Here it is. It was Dr. Susan Loeb Zeitlin, gynecologist at New York Presbyterian and Weill Cornell Medicine. She says, if you're severely ill, right, you're going to have menstrual changes, regardless of what the illness is. You often, not always, but often, will have menstrual changes. So it is just the stress of an illness. Which is also interesting, since I was listening to a podcast where the female co-host, and this is more of a mainstream podcast, the female co-host was not shy about, my goodness, my menstrual cycle is just out of control with the, and then a few episodes later, she came out and says, I have been overwhelmed at the response. I'm so happy to know that I'm not alone. She had thousands of people emailing her like, oh my gosh, me too. I got the vaccine. And just a whole different situation. So we'll see, I like how the study happens after the fact. After they told everybody, oh, it's fine, it's just our emotions.
And see, they love to characterize vaccine hesitant as crazy conspiracy theorists. They think there's a microchip. When in reality, that's not it. The fact is, they put out a vaccine without the regular study cycle, without testing it on women, without knowing all of the safety effects, without knowing that it gives 12-year-old boys myocarditis, without any of these things, and not only without knowing it, but actively censoring people who are having these sort of effects, calling them crazy. And, that's what the vaccine has. They're not afraid of needles. They're not afraid of, microchips. It's just a simple fact that you don't know much about this vaccine. That's what the vaccine hesitant are actually realistically focused on. And you have these, what it is? There are some groups out there, they're getting paid to be consultants, of PR consultants on what are the vaccine hesitant thinking? What are these vaccine hesitant people? How do we understand them? Oh, well, they're just afraid of needles and they think there's a microchip. So
just blowing smoke.
Just focus on that stuff
and
give us $1 million. That's what I'm saying, man.
Oh, my gosh.
And they don't care. They don't care enough to actually talk to real vaccine hesitant people who are constantly reading the science and staying up with the reality of the situation. They just are stuck in this world where they just, they're afraid of needles. Oh, they're crazy. Yeah. It bugs me.
Yeah. Well, this thing has been bugging us for a while now.
Yeah.
But, hey, at least the financiers, the people who invested in Pfizer and Moderna, they know what's coming. This is financialtimes.com. Pfizer and Moderna investors gird for eventual drop in vaccine sales. Yeah, it says here Pfizer and Moderna developed their COVID-19 vaccines at unprecedented speed, dominating the global market for jabs and sending their share prices to record highs. But as the landscape shifts from a pandemic to being endemic in the developed world, Wall Street analysts say the drug makers will have to manage investors' expectations for future sales of their jabs and a slide in their share prices.
Notice, it's all about the share prices. It's all about the profit. It's all about the investors. Oh, interesting. Isn't that so interesting, folks?
Which it reminds me, I have a neighbor. He's, I guess you can call him a a normie.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, I've told this story before, but I'll mention it again. He was so mad that, he gets really worked up about it too. He's like, when the pandemic started, I put in all this money into Moderna. I was like, Moderna's gonna make it, man. And when they came out with the vaccine, the stock went down. And he's like, and then my sister-in-law put all this money into Lululemon. They're not even open, and their stock skyrockets. He was so mad about it. I was like, hey, bro, you gotta just put it in Bitcoin. If you put it in Bitcoin, you'd be up. And anyway, it was really funny. Just he gets so worked up about that situation. And he's told me like 4 times too, and I just let him tell me the story each time. I'm like, I want to hear it again. I want to see if there's another detail.
That's funny.
Okay, so it says here, shares in Pfizer, which developed its vaccine partnership with BioNTech, hit record highs this summer as the debate around the need for boosters intensified in countries, including the US and UK, planned to deliver third doses in the autumn. Yet, some analysts caution that Pfizer, which is valued at more than $250 billion, will not replicate the blockbuster vaccine sales it has had this year, and that the company, because the government is their only customer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not normal people out there, it's the government's. And that the company will have to manage a share price decline beyond 2023, at which point most of the developed world is expected to have received a third shot. Are they telling us something?
Mm-hmm.
2023, target year to get at least the developed world 3 shots?
Yeah, I mean, they are. That's the thing. It's a little detail. It's a little detail in a business article about the business and profits and shareholders of Pfizer that is giving away, and Moderna, I guess, that is giving away the long-term plan.
Yep. Quote, the market is pricing in as if these companies are going to be doing $20 billion per year, every year, almost indefinitely, said Corey Kazimoff, biotechnology analyst at JP Morgan. Oh, super trustworthy JP Morgan. Quote, the share prices of these vaccine companies are being driven more by momentum and headlines relating to variants, boosters, full approval, and not to fundamentals.
They literally just told you, folks, the profits and the investment success and the business motivations of Pfizer and Moderna are driven by headlines, the emergence of new variants, and what was the last one there?
Boosters, full approval.
Boosters. They literally just told you that is their concern, and that's what drives the profit motive of Big Pharma. Remember, these companies that have complete legal indemnification from the effects of their product. They are completely concerned with the profit motive and the economics of their business. They are not concerned about the health of the world.
Yep. In recent note, JP Morgan said Pfizer's COVID vaccine sales are, quote, unlikely to be sustainable anywhere near current levels longer term. But, this is part of not the scary thing. I guess it is kind of scary, which is that because of this fact that, we can't keep this going, what kind of marketing campaign will Pfizer launch as part of their, in cahoots with the mainstream media, with the medical, the scientific dictatorship, to make sure that their product is used?
They're telling you right there, they need an endless cycle of variants. They need an endless pandemic, or else their profits will drop.
Yeah.
And they need endless amounts of boosters. And these are very rich, very powerful organizations. Remember, Pfizer, the criminally fined, criminally accountable Pfizer, has every motivation to keep this pandemic going, to keep more variants going, and to keep the hysteria going.
Yep. And that's the reason why we named the episode here Market Messiah.
That's right.
And it really does speak to 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils.
Mm-hmm.
It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. Interesting.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
Pierced themselves, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a jab. like a vaccine.
Like a jab. Sounds kind of familiar, guys.
Just looking at the data.
Get the data.
All right. Well, I think it's time that we should take a little break because we don't need a pandemic to keep our profit motive going, Gons.
That is questionable. if all is well, we may not have much to talk about.
Oh, that just means we would get to talk about nicer things.
That's true. You're right. We would get to talk about how the lion and the snake had lunch.
Sure. There's plenty of other corruption.
With the young boy, you know?
You've totally lost me.
Making
Let's go into the break.
I'm making reference to the millennium, you know, when the lion and lamb and the anyway, all right.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because after the break, we're going to be checking in on Biden and the New World Order. Of course, we're going to also be keeping an eye on Apple and its continuing war with Facebook. That's very interesting. And then, of course, more FBI news, folks. The FBI bumbles just keep on coming. So don't go anywhere. You want to stick around. But first, we're going to take a quick break and let's do some ads, Gons. Today, we're supported by the FBI. The FBI, they're so woke, and they are here to keep you safe in times of danger. Don't worry, they're not. They promise that they are not going to frame your favorite podcast, Canary Cry News Talk.
I don't feel comfortable with this ad.
The FBI, we love them. They're so good at their job. They're keeping us safe. They're keeping the terrorists at bay, and especially those pesky domestic terrorists, and we thank them for that. Thank you for your support, FBI. No,
you
just
mean
kidding.
The white nationalists? The white hog?
The white hogs. All right. No, just kidding, folks. We don't do advertisements on the show. No affiliate codes. No merchandise. No mail enhancement supplements. Nothing. That's because we are on the value for value model, and it's a very simple model, folks. We put out the value. We do it 3 times a week, and we try our very hardest. And if you get any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity and perhaps the responsibility to put some value back into the show, and that is the only way that that's the only way that it keeps going. I mean, we've all been raised to think that media is free, YouTube is free, everything is free. We watch it and we get advertised to, and then we just get to go along our day, and we don't have to take responsibility for keeping the things going that we want to continue. But that's the problem, folks. Once you start taking advertising dollars, that's when you get in trouble. That's when the trap springs and you're suddenly held to not account is not the word I'm looking for. I mean, we're all held to account. We're held to account by our producers, but you'll be held to standards, advertising standards. You got to maintain brand friendliness. You can't talk about things that are not allowed to be talked about. You can't be playing clips from that crazy guy who says he was ordered to euthanize COVID patients. You can't do any of that. And that's why we're on the value for value model, folks, because we have decided that taking advertising dollars and censoring ourselves is not the way we want to make this show. We make a lot less money because of it, but at least we can keep our integrity and we can sleep at night, folks.
And dream of Jack Dorsey yelling at you.
And dream of Jack Dorsey being mad at us. But The problem with this is, folks, is it does take some response from you, dear listener, to become a producer of the show. And that's what you are. If just like the real world, if you pay to have a piece of media produced, you are a producer of the show. No longer are we shackled to the idea here at Canary Cry News Talk that we need to gain your trust, gain your attention, and then bundle it up and ship it off to an advertising company for our own personal gain. No, it's a matter of respect, first of all, and it's a matter of faith, honestly, that that the Lord will inspire people to who appreciate the show to keep the show going by producing it with their time, their talent, or their treasure. And we want to thank some of our producers now. Gons, are you ready?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're ready?
Yeah.
That was good. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first way to become a producer of the show is you can head on over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT, where you can join up to support the show on a monthly basis. And we got a couple new producers over there, which we are very thankful for. We finally made it into the black on Patreon. For the first time in a few months, we are 93 cents in the black.
All right.
And that is, I know, I'm just glad to not see a big red number on our progress over on Patreon. So thank you to these producers who finally put us over the edge. And we'll start out with thanking producer Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you very much, Carl. And we also have producer Jezreel.
Thank you, Jezreel.
Thank you very much, Jezreel. And also, I'm just looking now. It looks like producer Sir Casey the Shield Knight joined the Patreon just now.
All right, Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
There we go. Thank you very much to all of our Patreon supporters. And that's it for Patreon. But here's the thing, folks. Don't worry. You don't need to use Patreon if you don't want. That's why we have CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. That's right. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support is a great place to become a producer, rather. You can support the show with your cryptocurrency. You can come in with a monthly producership if you want to commit to keeping the show going on a monthly basis. Nice set it and forget it option. But if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. And Gons, this sack is feeling a little light today, Gons. Who came in to produce over on CanaryCry.Radio.com/support?
Well, we first want to thank all the knights and dames that have supported the show over the course of time, as well as all the recurring producers whose names we may not call out on this episode, but hopefully we did call your name out when you first signed up. Today, we're going to start off with Emily T.
Thank you very much, Emily T. Emily T came in with 3463 and no note. Thank you very much, Emily T, our baller for the day at 3463.
Yes, and we got a note, but I don't think she wants us to read it out loud.
Well, that's why I skipped it.
Okay, but I'm trying to see here because, I understand now. I get it, Emily. Thank you, Emily T. I appreciate it. Next up, we have Daniela O.
Thank you very much. Producer Daniela O coming in with 1175 and a note that says, keep up the good work. I've been listening for a while and I thought it was time to become a producer. You are the perfect duo. Ooh, perfect duo, Gons. And I look forward to hearing the shows. Pray for us teachers out there who try to teach the truth within a curriculum of lies. Oh, yeah. Big shout out to all the teachers out there.
Yeah.
That is a tough job in normal circumstances.
Yeah.
And even more so now. I cannot imagine the mental fortitude and the spiritual fortitude that our teachers out there need, especially now with everything going on and trying to stay integrous in all the ways you can, being surrounded by children who are being lied to. everywhere they go in the world.
Yeah,
so,
pretty wild.
Thank you very much, producer Daniela. Oh, not just for producing the show, but for teaching the kids.
Yep. Thank you very much, Daniela. Oh, next up we have Gail M.
Gail M is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
28 episodes in a row, and she comes in with 1128 for Matthew 1128. Come unto me, all that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Hola, mi chicos dolce. What began as my brother being diagnosed with gallstones has become liver cancer.
Oh, no.
Prayducers.
Prayducers, assemble!
That's right, calling all Prayducers, listen up. We're putting Gail M's brother on the list. He went in to check some gallstones and turns out it was liver cancer. Her note continues, Prayducers, please pray that the immunotherapy treatment is successful in irradiating all of it and it hasn't already metastasized. He's a tough old Vietnam vet, still working up until now at 74.
Wow.
Thank you all for being the faithful, God-loving people that you are and sharing that faith in your prayers. XXXXOOOXO, that treatment successful. Thank you very much, Gail M.
Thank you, Gail M. And praying for him there.
Absolutely.
I have a buddy who is really into the natural stuff, like natural medicine. And he was telling me the other day how he helped cure cancer in a few people just with some natural substances. And he's got like testimonies and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it because it's kind of wild, but
yeah. I mean, here's the thing with me and the natural thing. Whenever somebody mentions cancer, especially on this show, we get loads of people sending us stuff about, look at this website, look at this person.
Yeah.
Of course, the natural world has the ability to restore the body's restore the body and restore the body's ability to heal itself. That's the beautiful thing about the human body, is it has that uncanny ability to heal itself in many instances. I think the problem with the holistic thing and the homeopathic thing and the internet thing is that there are so many bad actors in that crowd.
Yeah. Profit seekers and
it's really tough. It's really it's going with the overarching idea that you can trust any homeopathy, natural cures, yada yada yada. Unfortunately, is something very difficult. I find it very difficult to buy into. Not that I think it's impossible. I think it's just such a murky place that it's hard to really put trust in just whatever you're finding. But more power to anybody out there who is solving health problems in ways that do not require a small fortune to simply live, and that is integrous in its setup there. So anywho, we'll be praying for you, Gail M, and your brother.
And it was yucca and vitamin C, and it's got to be used properly. You can't just get yucca and vitamin C and start popping pills or something. But those are the things that my a good friend actually claims has helped people with cancer in his neighborhood. So
now people think that I'm a shill for Big Pharma, so that's cool.
Hey, making yourself known.
People are triggered. You question that dear old homeopathic medicine. Now suddenly I'm a Big Pharma shill. Just take a second to think, folks, before you.
That's how it works,
get too upset.
That's how it works.
All right, who's next?
Thank you, Gail M. Praying for you and yours. Next up, Sarah G.
Producer Sarah G comes in and, with a note here. I'm in need of prayers. Call the Prayducers.
Prayducers, assemble!
She says, I'm in need of prayers. My dear friend Tracy lost her husband to a heart attack Friday night. He leaves behind a wife, 2 grown children, and several grandchildren, 3 of whom they were raising. My goodness. We'll pray for Tracy there and the entire family, the whole clan. That is an incredibly traumatic thing for someone to pass away, especially when you're taking care of grandchildren.
Yeah.
So sorry to hear that, Sarah G.
This is a downer.
A lot of bad things have been happening the past couple of weeks. I noticed this last week too. A lot of the Prayducers have been needed to have assembled dozens of times in the past week and a half.
I know. It's
it's a weird time, man. It's the changing of the seasons.
Yeah, the attacks are coming strong.
Mm-hmm.
But we shall prevail. Next up, thank you, Sarah G, is Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
There he is. Sir Casey the Shield Knight's on a streak.
He's on the super duper streak that I need to find which one am I going to give him here? This one?
Yeah! Okay, that one's good too. Sir Casey's been supporting the show for 60 episodes in a row. Thank you very much, Sir Casey the Shield Knight. And I think our next level will maybe be 66. We can't skip 66 without commenting on it. So,
but also 70 is a very important biblical number too. So I don't know if you want, because there's a big gap, maybe we can do the 66 and then 70.
Yeah, what was the last one? It's 50. I mean, we're 10 in already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe putting it on. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Thank you very much, Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
I love the ongoing uncertainty of this streak thing as we venture into
We're building the plane as we fall, folks.
It's a good way of putting it. Thank you, Sir Casey the Shield Knight. Next up, we have Aaron J.
That's right. Producer Aaron J's on a streak. Supporting the show 12 episodes in a row, which means Aaron J is walking on the sun.
Might as well be walking on the sun.
Thank you very much, Aaron J.
Next up, we have Scott K.
Scott K's on a streak. That's right. Our Nifty 50 boys made it to 51 episodes. He comes in with a pocket full of 7s. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Next up, we have JC.
JC's on a streak. 14 episodes in a row, pocket full of 7s, and a note. Happy Monday, y'all. Hope this helps Gons get a chiropractor adjustment soon.
Oh.
We all know how OMB, old man back, can take its toll. God bless.
Thanks, JC.
There you go.
I haven't gotten popped in a while. There was a period where I had really bad sciatica. I think it was 2017, is right when Kaya was born. And man, that was so bad. You know, I couldn't, every time, it was so weird too. Every time I'd sit in the car and I'd get out, I had to get out of the car slowly because I'd fall over otherwise. And then I had to stand and wait for like a minute for, I don't know, blood to flow or something like that for the pain to go away so I can start walking again.
Yikes.
Crazy. But yeah, maybe a good old back popping is in order.
There you go. Well, JC's got a pocket full of 7s for you to go crack your back.
I'll walk in and I'll be like, JC told me to get my back cracked.
JC, come on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, JC.
Thank you, JC. Next up, we have Brant W.
Brant W is on a streak. 15 episodes in a row. Oh, which means there's a streak for that, I think. Yeah. Brant W is a rocket man.
Rocket man. Burning out his fuse out here.
Hello. Brant W comes in with 3s and fees for she's. Thank you, Brant Dubs.
Thank you, Brant Dubs. Next up, we have Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes.
Sir Salmon's is on a streak. 5 episodes in a row, pocket full of 3s. He says, howdy, Canarians. Happy Monday. Hope everyone has had a blessed weekend and is ready to tackle the week by the grace of God. Side note, Basil and Gons, what are y'all's favorite dinosaurs, if any? Many blessings from the fishes. Chicken.
Miniature pills that turn into sponges.
Ooh, the spongy ones. Yeah. I don't know if I have a favorite dinosaur, you know.
I was, everybody loved T-Rex when I was a kid. You know, everyone's like, oh, T-Rex.
T-Rex.
I was always kind of into the Brontosaurus.
I was going to say Brontosaurus too.
Yeah, because they were more chill, and you can kind of like
the biggest
one. Yeah.
No natural predators.
Long neck, you can kind of look around the corner.
And they talk about how dinosaurs had feathers now. They're finding evidence of that.
They've evolved.
Can you imagine a Brontosaurus with feathers? Big, fluffy, four-legged chicken with a long neck. I think that's adorable. Thanks for the question, Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes.
Yeah, very good. All right, next up we have Big Tank.
Big Tank, what's your 20?
Where's my Tony jingle?
Oh, the tension. The tension is too much.
What happened to it? It's missing.
The Big Tank jingle disappeared?
Yeah, what? Oh, here it is.
This is Rubber Ducky. What's your 1020? Over.
Chuck you. We got us a convoy. Over.
That's right. Big Tank's on a streak.
Oh, yes. Slow on the trigger for Big Tank. Sorry, Big
Tank. 14 episodes in a row, and he says, "Have a wonderful Monday, y'all. God is great, Big Tank.
God is great."
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Veronica D.
Veronica D is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
20
For some reason, makes me laugh.
26 episodes in a row, Veronica D. Thank you. Pocket full of threes.
Oh, it doesn't say here. So I'm going to add it in there. 26. Good job, Veronica D.
She came in during the show. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next up, Juan A.
Juan A is on a streak. 19 episodes in a row. He came in twice. One for a pocket full of twos, one for a pocket full of ones, which equals a pocket full of threes. And he sent, speaking of which, went to a homeopathic doctor yesterday. She told my wife that she found COVID bacteria.
Ooh.
What do you think he meant COVID virus, or does this homeopathic person know about something I don't?
I don't know. Let's keep reading.
But that it's already leaving her body. And to my surprise, she also said that her faith in Christ and leaving it to him was what kept her symptoms very low. And he's got some sunglass emoji there. Okay, very cool. Well, that's good news either way. Thank you very much. And his second note said, if Canarians don't know about homeopathic medicine, it's a great alternative. Apparently, my entire fam had the C19, just not me. My wife has been giving me doses for years now, and I barely get sick. It's frowned upon here in U.S. because there's no money in it. Well, that certainly would be one reason why there would be wouldn't be frowned upon, or why it would be frowned upon. It certainly is frowned upon, and oftentimes I think a little bit too much. My page has completely frozen.
Yep.
Has yours?
No, but it does that every single time I try to get in there. I have to wait about 20-30 seconds for it to
my entire browser has frozen.
Oh no! Yeah, you got problems.
Yeah, so
over there.
I'm gonna have to do a reset, but I still got the everybody else. So thank you very much, Juan A.
Thank you, Juan A.
There you go. Glad to know that things are looking up over there.
There's a theme developing in this break today. There's something to do with homeopathic medicine.
Something to do with something.
Next up, Rung Smash.
Rung Smash, I know, is on a streak.
15 episodes in a row, which means
Rocket Man, baby.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Burning out his fuse out here alone.
Comes in with 2.07 cent per character of this microfiction that goes like this. In the hall leading to Gonz's office is a line of posters. One catches Basil's googly eyes. It shows a cow kicking a toilet. The caption says, quote, rebellious cattle pee where they want. Wow, says Basil. This future seems strange. Yep, replies NFG. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash, the Rocket Man.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Ciara.
Ciara's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
23 episodes in a row. And she comes in with a note. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. Genesis 1:17 ESV. Please keep me in prayer. Been sick for the past 60 hours. Oh, no. Prayducers.
Prayducers, assemble!
That's right. Ciara has been sick for 60 hours. So let's keep producer Ciara in our prayers because she's got meetups to put on.
Yeah, you can't have Ciara go down.
No, we need Ciara in top-notch health here, so we'll pray for you. Sorry to hear about that, producer Ciara.
Prayducers probably never disassemble. They're just constantly in a state of assembling.
They're just staying assembled, yeah.
Thank you, Ciara. Hope you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, I guess it's the last one here. Heatherus.
Heatherus. Producer Heatherus. Heather and Russ. They're on a streak. 5 episodes in a row. And they say, hey, Basil and Gons and Basil, rather. Since the mainstream media's focus on abortion laws have been so prevalent in the past few weeks, it's unfortunate too many do not understand the reason Christians object to abortions or taking vaccines made from aborted fetuses. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I was forming you in the belly, I knew you, and before you proceeded to come forth from the womb, I sanctified you. Prophet to the nations, I made you. Thanks, Heatherus. Thank you very much, Heatherus.
True. Yep.
Yeah.
This murder. Just don't.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, God bless our streakers. Our streakers, of course, made up the lion's share of our support today. But, of course, thank you to our non-streakers. And, yeah, a little light today, but it's, I think it's just that time of year, Gons. We're shifting into fall.
Yeah, the markets are down. What are you going to do?
Markets are down. Value for value markets are down. Markets are down across the board, but thank you for all the producers who decided this show was worth supporting on this beautiful Monday.
Yes, and there are other ways you can produce a show beyond your treasure, and that includes your time and talent. I want to thank Christine C. for doing the timestamps for episode 390.
Thank you very much, Christine C.
Thank all the producers who do the timestamps. It really does make a difference. Let's see, you can produce the show with your talent as well, and today we have one jingle to share.
We have a new jingle.
And it's from Learbag3000. He had a note, and he says, I just want to say a big sorry, all caps, to chat. I told them next jingle would be 80s retro synth pop, and well, more trap, LOL.
You're forgiven, Learbag.
I promise I will make an 80s synth jingle soon. Also hoping to make a little something special for EP 400. That's 400.
Mm-hmm.
And sunglass emoji. Take a listen. I already have this queued up for today's show, but it is the FBI jingle.
FBI, open up! A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
Whee!
It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is a money-making industry.
Yeah.
I did just get a notice, Gonzo.
Uh-huh.
Emily T, our top producer today, came in at 3463.
Uh-huh.
That is the 3333 plus fees.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. We're just learning. We just got this option where the producer can help cover the PayPal fees, and so it kind of changes the amount. But we're learning, and now we know that 3463 is the 3333, which makes Emily T our Illuminati handler for today. Thank you very much.
Did you hear the Illuminatus?
I got it. Cool jingle, bro.
It's an old jingle. All right, so I think that was it for the jingles. I apologize if I missed something. We're going to get into some artwork.
One art, please.
And to kick things off, we're going to start with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One RC, another one from Allie now, here it is.
And the note accompanying this piece today, I'm having problems. It's titled, May the Ads Be Ever in Your Favor.
This is hilarious.
And
you got a note?
Did anybody catch the Effie Awards last night? She's so proud of her victors.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch it. I haven't been watching any of the mainstream stuff. It's the MTV Awards a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago. Super satanic and weird. You had the Met Gala, super satanic and weird. And not much different from the, what did she call it? The Effie Awards.
The Effie Awards.
And this piece is, I have the sound bites to go with it.
Okay.
From Hunger Games. And I believe this is the reference, if I can get the computer to work properly here. Oh, hold on. Muted. Things are muted. Here we go.
Happy Hunger Games, and may the odds ever in your...
There you go.
May the ads be ever in your favor.
Yeah.
Is excellent.
Yeah, it's a perfect...
It really does sum up the Emmys as well. Sums up all those award shows.
Yeah.
It's just the commoditization of people's trust and attention in celebrity culture.
Yeah.
It's gross, but this is great. Is this person's, what is this character's name? Is this person's name?
I'm trying to
Effie?
remember.
It's something like that. Starts with an E, I think. I forget. Maybe somebody in the chat can help us out, but it is a wonderful portrait of that Hunger Games character there, with an Emmy statue as well. So there you go. It's all coming full circle, baby.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the name. I don't know the name of the character here, but yeah, she's the one that's all dressed fancy with the makeup and running the whole deal. So.
Ciara says yes, so it must be Effie.
Effie. Oh.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, it's something like that.
All right. Thank you very much,
Beautiful.
Allie. Nice work.
Dame Allie.
Next up, we have one from Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia.
One piece from Dove.
And Dove has a note here. My gosh, my right finger is slow today. My triggers. Everything is happening slowly.
It's just one of those days.
I know.
I think
everything's
just
slow.
Overall, it's a little bit one of those days. A little slow. I'm feeling a little slow. The jingles are a little slow. Producers are a little slow.
Somebody's got the case of the Mondays.
Yeah, this is Canary Cry Mondays, folks.
Canary Cry Monday. Dove says, had the idea for this one last week after you guys mentioned it was only a matter of time before we saw the robot carnage of a D-Day-like event grace the front page of publication like Time magazine. So I thought I'd bring it to life. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. P.S. It's a little hard to grip the stylus with my cast on, and I couldn't quite grasp it with my teeth like Gonz's legendary Slim Team artist. So for the next couple of weeks, the drawings may be a little extra wonky. Sorry. Sir Dove, you don't need to apologize, number one.
No apologies
needed.
Number
two, I don't see anything wrong with the piece here.
So wonky.
It's
Look how
so
wonky it is.
wonky.
It's hilarious. Yes, and this is exactly what I was imagining. He's recreated the cover of Time magazine here from May 1st, 2045.
Yeah, the 2045 agenda, the immortality agenda, the Russian mogul.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the Time magazine cover for Flippy D-Day, June 6th, 2044.
Ah.
Yes, and it's done in the style of like a black and white, old-timey war photo, but instead of D-Day, it's Flippy D-Day, so we're looking from the perspective of an amphibious assault vehicle and looking across the ocean towards the beach, and all these poor young drafted Flippies, they never stood a chance storming the beach at Norman Flippy. You've got these poor boys. These poor robot boys are torn in half, missing limbs. drowning in the water, robo flippy limbs floating everywhere. Ah, it was a massacre, but they're serving their country, those flippies. We've also got a old-timey biplane up there in the sky.
Yep.
Who's flying that plane, guys?
That's you and I believe, in bird form.
Two canaries?
Yeah.
We got a googly-eyed canary and a glasses canary. We're flying the plane over the D-Day there. And why don't you read me what that check... Oh, there's a checklist for Flippy D-Day. On the boat here, take your jobs, check. Enslave your children, check. Flirt with spouses, check. This is great. They did it.
The life raft... the what is it called? The Lifesaver has SS Skynet written on it.
Oh, good. And of course, it costs $6.66 for this article. We've got the
I was going to say on that, the inflation must have not really hit in the year 2045. If a magazine,
this is great news.
$6.66 is pretty cheap.
I don't even know how much magazines cost nowadays, but. And of course, but in Canadian dollars, it's $9.42.
Oh, right. And you got the barcode with the 30330.
Yeah, text byte in there.
4666 2020.
2020. Ooh. I don't know. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dove. This is a beautiful piece. Broken hand and all. You did it, you champion.
You champion. You're the winner, Dove, apparently, for this episode.
Oh, he's a champion.
He is a champ.
We got a lot of champions. Dame Allie's a champion.
You're
a champion.
All the producers that came in with their treasure.
Emily T, 3333 is a champion.
Are you going to name all of them now?
Yeah, I'm just going to go down the list.
Okay.
This is the next 45 minutes of the show.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Next up, we have one from... Miss G Beauty. That's Grace. We haven't heard from her in a while.
I didn't see this one come in. This is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
She came in. She has a note here. She says, here's some art for today's show. This had to do with Gons getting out of California before the Newsom getting back in happened. Sorry, Gons, that didn't work out, but you had funny quotes. And it has, Basil, you got to get out of there. Gons, if I get out, they win. Basil, if you stay, you lose.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was a fun exchange. Did you lose, Gons? I don't know. I don't feel like I've lost yet. I've lost on paper, you know?
Yeah.
On paper, it's like Newsom's got all kinds of victories, you know? Especially for women.
Women rule!
But I don't think we've lost yet.
Okay.
Maybe lost the battle, but not the war. Also, my nieces now do the nom 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 thing that the old director of the CIA did about Russia involved in the USA elections. Now they say it's out of nowhere to mess with me and make me laugh. Also, I shared the show with my best friend recently because after living with each other for 3 years, neither of us knew we were into conspiracy stuff and recently found out that we both believe in the Nephilim and bonded over that.
Yeah, that's how it happens. You know, a good crazy person hides it well, but it does takes a little bit to be able to discover your fellow crazy people.
You know, bonding over Nephilim, that I don't know if there's anything more exciting than learning that your fellow counterpart is also up to speed on the Nephilim. That's got to be one of the best feelings because you and I, we both worked at a church, right?
Yeah, we went through that process.
We went through that process. We worked back to back and then eventually...
Guess you got to start a podcast, Grace.
Yeah, start a podcast with your friend. But yeah, I brought up the Nephilim to a lot of people in the church, and I think maybe one or two knew of it. You know, like there's a couple pastors that knew of it, but then they would be like, well, what's it have to do with Jesus? And it's like, well, it's in the Bible, and I think has a lot to do with Jesus. But
I mean, look, we're not saying knowledge about the Nephilim is a salvation issue.
Yeah, it's not. But it's in the Bible, so you should.
That seems to be the retort. Like,
I know.
Oh, you know about the Nephilim? Well, that has nothing to do with Jesus. So, no. It's like, whoa, bro. Okay,
chill out. Chill out. Have a blessed show, and thanks for doing all you do. Many blessings, Grace, Miss G Beauty. Thank you, Miss G Beauty.
Thank you very much.
And do you want to describe this art? I mean, it's just pretty much the...
Oh, yeah. No, you nailed it. She does sort of the graphic quotations. And the first one is kind of a canary-themed face. You got to get out of there. How would you describe that? It's like I can't really tell. It's just abstract and cool looking, really.
Yeah, I think it is kind of I guess it is a bird with...
looks like a bird mixed with like a shield, you know?
Yeah.
And then the second one, if I get out, they win, looks like a guy with a backwards hat.
Yeah, I think that's me.
And then the third one looks like if you stay, you lose. It's like a canary with a mustache, maybe. and goggles.
And goggles, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Very pleasing layout she has here.
Yes. All right. We got a couple more to share here. First one is from... Oh, come on, computer. What are you doing?
I know. It's even doing to me? Tech is having trouble today.
Yeah.
It's a weird Monday.
It's from Christine C. She does our timestamps, but she sent us a piece here. And the note here, this piece shows how the devil is using and manipulating companies to push his agenda. BlackRock and Vanguard have large shares in a majority of companies. The list is very long. I was blown away and can share the list if you guys are interested. I tried to look into who owns BlackRock and Vanguard, but haven't fully gotten to the bottom of it. I'm going to continue researching.
Yeah, there you go. Keep doing it. Yeah, and she's got an image here. It's a big pyramid with two sort of like puppet master hands controlling things. It says Illuminati, what is that, 101?
Yeah. And then the O is an Ouroboros snake eating its own tail.
And the ones are like Greek pillars. And so you've got the sort of lizard eye in the top triangle, of course, as the Illuminati. Then supporting the top triangle is Vanguard and BlackRock Investment Group. Has two more triangles. And then there's 6 triangles supporting Vanguard and BlackRock, which is Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Pfizer, Google, and Apple. And this is it's amazing how well the pyramid graphic describes the support structure of the ruling class.
Yeah.
And the organizations from which they rule.
Yeah, and I'm always reminded, anytime I see the pyramid, I'm reminded of the passage, I think it's Matthew 20, verse 16. So the last will be the first, and the first shall be the last. And how Jesus talks about how he has to serve, and he has to be the last, It's kind of an interesting point because it does really flip the pyramid upside down,
Yeah.
And he's God.
Totally.
So it's like God is flipping the pyramid upside down.
Right.
So anyway, just a good reminder, even though, it's good to see all the evil stuff, or at least understand it. It's always good to put it into context of what the word tells us. Thank you, Christine C. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Providing time and talent today.
Hey, Christine C. and Miss G Beauty, you are the champions.
Wow, you're getting all personal. Okay, we have one more here, and this is one we missed last episode, so it's a makeup.
Okay.
Actually, we have two makeups. This first one is it's a Marty B. Marty B comes in with a unauthorized alteration of an alley art pick.
Okay.
Trump hair edition.
Okay. Yeah, this was the alley artwork of Alex Jones with a horse growing out of his head.
For the ivermectin. When he was eating ivermectin on air.
Right.
Yeah.
And looks like Marty B has put some, what is that, cat hair?
I don't know. It's blonde. It's Trump hair. It's Trump hair.
Trump hair onto the horse.
Now,
okay.
I am skeptical, Marty B. I don't think that is actually Trump's hair. I think this is fake news.
Oh, wow. Look at that. We're debunking our own artists here on the show, folks. Nobody is safe. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that unauthorized addition, Marty B.
I think we skipped over it last episode because the note said, please don't tell Allie. So I thought, we shouldn't, this isn't like for public consumption because it would be telling Allie if, so anyway, thank you, Marty B. Appreciate it. Marty B and grandkids. So not just Marty B. It was his grandkids.
Okay, it was a family effort.
Family effort. Yep.
Yeah, great.
And one more here, and this is also something that we asked about, and I think we're getting an answer here. This is the Nephilim Kitty Kabuki Mask Shimura.
Oh, yes. This was the Kabuki Mask Shimura. Oh, this was wonderful. I looked at this cute cat for so long. Do you have the note?
I do. It says, this is Reagan and Shane, the couple wearing Face Like the Sun shirts at the Georgia meetup. You can't see the shirt. I think we read the note before. We'll read it again. We've been watching Canary Cry for years, and we finally are in a better situation to be able to donate to you guys weekly. We are including a picture collage of our cat Kabuki. He's our youngest Nephilim kitty and will be 1 year old next month. He has 7 toes on each front paw.
Nephilim cat.
He also has an unusual name that we wanted to share with you. His first name is Kabuki Mask for Shane's love of the Japanese culture, and his surname is Shimura because Shane owes Gons for his Face Like the Sun channel helping lead him on the narrow path after over 20 years in the occult. You both have blessed us so much over the years, and we thank you. We really enjoy the way you present the news to us and love the passion you both show when you don't agree with the narratives of the mainstream. Thank you, and God bless you both, Shane and Regan. We would love it if you would share our picture. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So here's the picture.
We're doing it. This is, for those who are just listening, it is a collage of the lifespan of this incredibly cute cat Kabuki with 7 toes on the paws there, which is, I've seen 6 toes. I've never seen 7 toes. It truly is a Nephilim kitten. Very cute. Kind of looks like one of my cats. So yes, I might, with permission from Shane and Reagan, I might add this into a newsletter or something.
Yeah.
Gonna send out a Prayducer newsletter soon. So keep an eye out, newsletter folks.
I have to share the photo with my family. Just let them know there's another Shimura out there. You know, we're trying to gather all the Shimuras.
You know what's ironic, Gonzo? You now have 2 cats named after you from listeners, and I have 0. What is going on here?
I don't know. What was the other one?
Another listener named one of his kittens Gons.
Oh.
This was a few years ago.
Okay.
But come on, what's going on, folks?
I like how upset you are about it.
Well, what's the deal?
2 Samuel 21.
Basil is a great cat name.
2 Samuel 21:20 talks about the giants at Gath, who were great in stature. They had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. And maybe, what is it? Hold on. Yeah, there's 24 in all. If you count the 7, maybe the back toes came to the front on the kitty, you know?
Sure. Yeah, what is the name for this? It's a polydactyl.
Oh,
polydactyl is a name for cats who have more toes than they should.
Interesting.
Yeah, very cute. I mean, it's a gorgeous cat.
Yeah, gorgeous kitty.
Can't stop looking at it.
My old dog, Toby, had an extra pair of toes too.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know that was a thing for dogs.
They were kind of like non-working toes. They're just kind of flopping there. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure that's what Kabuki's toes do. They don't look very active.
No, they just kind of hang out.
They sure are cute. All right. Thank you very much, Shane and Reagan.
Thank you very much. And hopefully Kitty's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for this break?
No. No, just
meetups.
Remember to leave reviews, and yes, make sure to hit up CanaryCry.Meetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Yep, CanaryCry.Meetups.com. Learn how to put together your own meetup. Ciara, hopefully she's feeling better. She's going to be hosting the Ohio meetup on October 30th at the Basil Pizza and Wine Bar in Ohio. NorCal, November 6th. SoCal, December 4th. And any ideas for 2022, let Ciara know. EU meetup. Mr. Jag let us know that they're having it in Vienna in the month of November. I thought, wasn't there an update that, I think I was supposed to update some more info on the Mr. Jag stuff from last episode, and I think I forgot to do it. But yeah, I think is there a date? Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah, there is.
November 27th is the official date for the Vienna meetup.
There you go.
That's right.
EU Canarians, get on it.
Oh, you know what? I think I did do it. I gotta refresh it. Maybe it didn't stick when I... Sometimes the browser doesn't... Yeah, I did. RSVP, Mr. Jag at protonmail.com, the Vienna Christmas Market, 27th of November. And of course, he also mentioned the year 3070 in the New Jerusalem meetup for all.
Right, yes.
Arkansas meetup, September 25th. That's the Pikeland. Make sure to contact Pizza Rat for that one. And then Louisville, Kentucky. Make sure to contact Tony, Awake, O, Sleeper, and Rise at gmail.com. The most Masonic flyer we've ever seen. October 31st at 6:66 p.m. at the Mile Wide Brewery. Kid-friendly. And Mason-friendly. North Idaho, October 16th. Josiah is hosting a meetup in Sandpoint, Idaho. And you can contact Josiah at josiahbdyer@gmail.com. But you can get all that information at CanaryCry.Meetups.com.
Yes. Okay, and before we wake up, remember to head over to CanaryCry.Party. You can become a producer there, join our social media networks there, join the newsletter, sign up for that, very important. Get the decentralized list of sources. I saw some people asking about some of the clips we are playing today. If you sign up for the newsletter, those will be sent directly to your inbox. So there you go. Go do that at CanaryCry.Party. All right, I'm ready to wake up. How about you?
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
New World Order.
A new world order. A new world order. New world order.
This is more of just a headline because why not?
Okay.
It's from Financial Times, once again. It's an opinion piece, so we don't have to read it. But the headline, at the UN, Biden should champion a new people-centered global order. And I thought to myself,
I mean, should.
What do you mean people-centered? What was it centered around before?
Well, you know, the people-centered thing is sort of the propaganda of the Great Reset, the shareholder capitalism, where they're trying to people-center capitalism.
Yeah, like no more corporations. This is more about the people.
Well, it's basically exactly what we're doing, except for not focusing on organizations, but focusing on the people. What they don't mention is the people they are focusing on is the people who own the corporations. It's like really this jujitsu of words to make you think that it's sort of social justice-y, but it's really just empowering the elites even more.
You know, it's hilarious because my whole take was like, what do you mean people-centered? Was it reptilian-centered before?
Yes. No, it was cat-centered.
Oh, cat-centered. Okay. Or penguin-centered, depending on how you
right.
who runs the world here. But it's hilarious. This article, I'm not going to read it, but you can read it in your own time. But this author here, what is her name? Anne-Marie Slaughter.
Whoa.
Mrs. Slaughter, or Miss Slaughter, I don't know. It writes kind of a hypothetical of like what Biden should say and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It includes the sustainable development goals and stuff. And at the end, she says, in conclusion, the president would remind his audience that, quote, the United States was founded on the proposition that all white men anywhere in the world were created equal. A credo that has been updated to, quote, all humans are created equal. I was like, what? I was like, it does not say that all white men anywhere in the world were created equal in the Declaration of Independence.
What is she talking about? I mean, I guess we'd have to read the whole thing. I think that the very concept of this article is kind of preposterous. Like, why is this even being published? It's some woman saying, this is what I want Biden to say to the UN. What do you mean the U.S.?
Mrs. Slaughter sounds like a reptilian.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah.
The credo that has been updated to all humans.
Updated.
It literally, it's, yes, we get it. It says all men were created equal, but sorry that the English language has the interchangeable men for all humans. I get it. It's the patriarchy, but you don't have to make stuff up to sound social justice-y. Or maybe you do have to make stuff up to sound social justice-y. Good job, Miss Slaughter.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This was a fun one. This comes from appleinsider.com. The headline is Apple threatened to pull Facebook from the App Store over human trafficking. Back in 2019, the BBC reported that human traffickers in the Middle East were using Facebook to arrange the sale of its victims. After that story was published, Apple threatened to boot Facebook from the App Store unless it cracked down on the practice, according to internal Facebook documents obtained by the Wall Street Journal. So there's been a load of internal Facebook documents released, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff in it, which we'll get to on another episode. But part of it was this crazy little war that was going on between Apple and Facebook. The internal documents revealed that Facebook was aware of the trafficking issue before the BBC report. They suggest that Facebook only took limited action to shut down the activity before Apple launched its threats. One Facebook researcher asked whether, quote, the issue was known to Facebook before BBC inquiry and Apple escalation. The response started with a simple yes. Throughout 2018 and H1 2019, we conducted a global understanding exercise in order to fully understand how domestic servitude manifests on our platform across its entire life cycle, recruitment, facilitation, and exploitation, the response continued. According to the full Wall Street Journal report, the traffickers apparently masqueraded as employment agencies that were actually a front for the trading and selling of enslaved people. The traffickers reportedly used Facebook to falsely advertise those fake employment agencies. Apple releases a report and statement each year detailing its efforts to combat human trafficking and slavery in its supply chain and in other areas of its business. According to the document, apps on the App Store must not solicit, promote, or encourage criminal or clearly reckless behavior. In extreme cases, such as if apps are found to facilitate human trafficking or the exploitation of children, Apple will notify relevant authorities. So, yeah, apparently there's this little backroom war going on between Apple and Facebook. Now, Apple has threatened Facebook numerous times at this point and even made some pretty significant changes to its app operating system to boot Facebook out of people's private lives. But the documents revealing that Facebook fully knew that humans were being trafficked on its platform and had a global understanding exercise instead of just stopping the human trafficking. I mean, these people are really lizard people with profit as their main motive over the protection of human traffic victims. But, you know, Apple took steps to at least threaten them, which they love to do. You know, not saying that Apple is innocent in almost anything, but they were. You got to remember, Apple was the first big tech company that came under the reticle of social justice warriors with the Foxconn and the working conditions in China. And since then, they've made a practice of basically calling out as many Silicon Valley companies as possible for not doing the same.
Well, and that's what I was going to mention is that Apple has a pretty, I would say, a smart marketing team to be able to.
They're ahead of the game for sure.
Yeah, they paint themselves as sort of a morally superior when it comes to these types of issues, and it's interesting to me as a tech company to do that. It's
and even more than morally superior, they do a better job at being perceived as actually doing something, making threats, threatening to kick Facebook off of the App Store, et cetera, et cetera. They were the first to plug the Pegasus hole.
Yeah.
Which they just did on the most recent iOS update. I'm usually not an iOS update person. I'll basically not update my phone until it completely collapses, but they fixed the Pegasus hole in this last update, just for those who have iPhones out there.
Well, it was a big headline, update now or you'll be vulnerable to non-click spyware and all that. That was right before the big Apple conference that happened. I think it was last week. So
yeah, that was the one that got Bezos. The Bezos nudes came out because he was hacked with Pegasus by some Saudi prince or something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on some of that, and one might even argue Trump and Q working with Apple to take down the pedo network.
Oh, sure.
All right. We're going to get into some politics here.
It's Latin for many. Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
your blood.
FBI, open up! A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
This is New York Times. It's the article we skipped last episode. We don't have to read the whole thing. We'll just touch on some of the points here. It's Durham is set to seek indictment of lawyer at firm with Democratic ties. The lawyer Michael Sussman is accused of lying to the FBI in a 2016 meeting about Trump and Russia. He denies wrongdoing. John Durham, the special counsel appointed by the Trump administration to scrutinize the Russia investigation, has told the Justice Department that he will ask a grand jury to indict a prominent cybersecurity lawyer on a charge of making a false statement to the FBI, people familiar with the matter said. Any indictment of the lawyer, Michael Sussman, a former federal prosecutor and now a partner at the Perkins, how do you say that word? Is it COIE?
I don't know. I don't have it right in front of me.
COIE.
COIE. I have no idea.
Or COIE? COIE? I don't know. Perkins COIE law firm. I don't know. Chat, help me out. And who represented the Democratic National Committee of issues related to Russia's 2016 hacking of its servers, is likely to attract significant political attention. Donald J. Trump and his supporters have long accused Democrats and Perkins COIE, whose political law group, a division separate from Mr. Sussman's, represented the party and the Hillary Clinton campaign, of seeking to stoke unfair suspicions about Mr. Trump's purported ties to Russia. The case against Mr. Sussman centers on the question of who his client was when he conveyed certain suspicions about Mr. Trump and Russia to the FBI in September 2016. Among other things, investigators have examined whether Mr. Sussman was secretly working for the Clinton campaign, which he denies. An indictment is not a certainty. On rare occasions, grand juries decline prosecutors' request, but Mr. Sussman's lawyers, Sean M. Berkowitz and Michael S. Bosworth of Latham and Watkins, acknowledged on Wednesday that they expected him to be indicted while denying he made any false statements. And it goes into some, typical lawyer talk there. Oh, Sussman committed no crime, blah, blah, blah. The accusation against Mr. Sussman focuses on a meeting he had on September 19th, 2016 with James A. Baker, who was the FBI's top lawyer at the time, according to people familiar with the matter. They spoke on condition of anonymity. Because of the 5-year statute of limitations for such cases, Mr. Durham has a deadline of this weekend to bring a charge over activity from that date. At the meeting, Mr. Sussman relayed data and analysis from cybersecurity researchers who thought that odd internet data might be evidence of a covert communications channel between computer servers associated with the Trump organization and with Alpha Bank, a Kremlin-linked Russian financial institution. The FBI eventually decided those concerns had no merit. The special counsel who later took over the Russia investigation, Robert S. Mueller III, ignored the matter in his final report. Mr. Sussman's lawyer have told the Justice Department that he sought the meeting because he and the cybersecurity researchers believed that the New York Times was on the verge of publishing an article about the Alpha Bank data, and he wanted to give the FBI a heads up. In parentheses, in fact, the Times was not ready to run that article, but published one mentioning Alpha Bank 6 weeks later. Mr. Durham has been using a grand jury to examine the Alpha Bank episode and appeared to be hunting for any evidence that the data had been cherry-picked or the analysis of it knowingly skewed, the New Yorker and other outlets have reported. To date, there has been no public sign that he has found any such evidence. But Mr. Durham did apparently find an inconsistency. Mr. Baker, the former FBI lawyer, is said to have told investigators that he recalled Mr. Sussman saying that he was not meeting him on behalf of any client. But in a deposition before Congress in 2017, Mr. Sussman testified that he sought the meeting on behalf of an unnamed client who was a cybersecurity expert and had helped analyze the data. And it goes on here. I don't know if we want to get into all the minutia. I don't think it really matters a whole lot. I have a couple more stuff highlighted.
Is necessary for the show, but it's just the major points are a pretty big deal.
Right. Quote, my client is an apolitical cybersecurity expert with a history of public service who felt duty-bound to share with law enforcement sensitive information provided to him by DNS experts, Mr. Terrell said, referring to domain name systems as part of how the internet works, and which generated the data that was the basis of the Alpha Bank concerns. Mr. Tyrell added, quote, he sought legal advice from Michael Sussman, who had advised him on unrelated matters in the past, and Mr. Sussman shared that information with the FBI on his behalf. He did not know Mr. Sussman's law firm had a relationship with the Clinton campaign and was simply doing the right thing. Supporters of Mr. Trump have long been suspicious of Perkins Coie. On behalf of Democrats, Mr. Elias commissioned a research firm Fusion GPS to look into Mr. Trump's ties to Russia. That resulted in the so-called Steele dossier, a notorious compendium of rumors about Trump-Russia ties. The FBI cited some information from the dossier in botched wiretap applications. Some of the questions that Mr. Durham's team had been asking in recent months, including of witnesses it subpoenaed before a grand jury, according to people familiar with some of the sessions, suggest he has been pursuing a theory that the Clinton campaign used Perkins Coie to submit...
So just pick one. Just pick one and use it.
To submit dubious information to the FBI about Russia and Mr. Trump in an effort to gin up investigative activity to hurt his 2016 campaign. Which we've known about. This is not new whatsoever.
Yeah.
But again, they're just doing this because the statute of limitations, the 5 years, is up, so they have to make a move. I don't know that anything is really going to come out of it.
No, but it's interesting because it's bringing up the FBI again in this weird media storm that we've had the past couple of weeks, and we'll see more of today. The FBI has just been on the chopping block. This is bringing up the FBI's Steele dossier references, the Fusion GPS, the Russiagate thing, where the FBI was sometimes falsifying information, using known falsified information to push the Trump Russiagate theory. And yeah, like you said, this is almost certainly it's a non-point that this is all being brought up, except for throwing the FBI on the altar again. It's very strange.
Yeah, and a thought came to me, and I think I tweeted it out. But basically, all the negative press concerning the FBI surrounding this, so not this story, but the one we reported last episode about the Larry Nassar gymnast story, and today we have a couple more here. It seems to me, and I could be wrong here, but accused of lying to the FBI, if you look at it in the bipartisan right-left paradigm, and I've seen some conservative right-wing Republican types, like on Fox or whatever, make this talking point, which is, Sussman lied to the FBI. He lied to our government. He lied to an institution of our government. And it forces that side of the aisle to defend not just Trump, but defend the FBI. as kind of like a counterpart. And
yeah.
if you just put the FBI, throw them under the bus publicly, now all the conservative Republicans are supporting a firm that supported pedophilia with the Larry Nassar case. And you know what I mean? It's like a weird switcheroo thing they're doing. The reality is nobody trusts the FBI. But in the political headline game that they play, I can see that as being part of the agenda here. But I could be wrong. I could be reading way too much into it.
Well, there's nothing to read into in this next story, Gons.
Oh, yay.
This is LATimes.com. The headline, FBI says fortune seized in Beverly Hills raid was criminals' loot. Owners say, where's the proof? After the FBI seized Joseph Ruiz's life savings during a raid on a safe deposit box business in Beverly Hills, the unemployed chef went to court to retrieve his $57,000. A judge ordered the government to tell Ruiz why it was trying to confiscate the money. It came from drug trafficking, an FBI agent responded in court papers. Ruiz's income was too low for him to have that much money, and his side business selling bongs made from liquor bottles suggested he was an unlicensed pot dealer, the agent wrote. The FBI also said a dog had smelled unspecified drugs on Ruiz's cash. The FBI was wrong. When Ruiz produced records showing the source of his money was legitimate, the government dropped its false accusations and returned his money. Ruiz is one of roughly 800 people whose money and valuables the FBI seized from safe deposit boxes they rented at the U.S. private vault store in a strip mall on Olympic Boulevard. It's crazy. I know. Federal agents had suspected for years that criminals were stashing loot there, and they assert that that's exactly what they found. The government is trying to confiscate $86 million in cash and a stockpile of jewelry.
The jewel thief is back.
Yeah,
It's
rare
the FBI.
coins and precious metals taken from about half of the boxes. But 6 months after the raid, the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles have produced no evidence of criminal wrongdoing by the vast majority of box holders whose belongings the government is trying to keep. About 300 of the box holders are contesting the attempted confiscation. Ruiz and 65 others have filed court claims saying the dragnet forfeiture operation is unconstitutional. There's your Fourth Amendment.
There you go. Yep.
Quote, "It was a complete violation of my privacy," Ruiz said. "They tried to discredit my character. Prosecutors so far have outlined past criminal convictions or pending charges against 11 box holders to justify their forfeitures. But in several other cases, court records show the government's rationale for claiming that the money and property it seized was tied to crime is no stronger than against Ruiz. Federal agents say the use of rubber bands and other ordinary methods of storing cash were indications of drug trafficking or money laundering."
Oh my gosh.
"Hey, this guy used rubber bands around his money. It's Pablo Escobar." They also cite dogs' alerting to the scent of narcotics on most of the cash as key evidence, but the government says it deposited all of the money it seized in a bank, making it impossible to test which drugs may have come into contact with which bills and how long ago.
Who's the criminal here?
Not only
The
did
FBI.
they just,
It sounds like they're laundering the money.
they literally, that is also another great point. They just robbed a bunch of people.
They took their money and they laundered it.
Took their money and put it all in one big bank vault, ruining. I mean, that's a mishandle of evidence.
Yeah.
If they truly thought there was evidence of narcotics on these bills, they didn't even separate the bills. They just put it all in one big stack and didn't even label which bills belong to which thing. They obviously are just trying to steal money. Quote, "You actually don't know anything until that currency is run through a lab," said Marie Kabulk, a Nevada scientist and expert witness on drug dogs for both prosecutors and defense lawyers. "A dog alerts to drug residue on cash might be valid and might be complete bunk."
Oh, good. So it means nothing, basically.
It means nothing, yeah. U.S. Private Vaults was indicted on in February on charges of conspiring with unnamed customers to sell drugs, launder money, and structure cash transactions to dodge government detection. No people were charged. The criminal case has remained dormant since then, with no attorney or other representative of the U.S. private vaults appearing in court to enter a plea. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles declined to comment on why the case appears to have stalled. Michael Singer, a Las Vegas lawyer who has represented U.S. private vaults on other matters, declined to comment on the charges against the business, but said he was unaware of any criminal activity by its owners. He also said the government had overstepped its bounds in its search, seizure, and attempted confiscation of the customers' money and property. In papers responding to 15 lawsuits and other claims filed by box holders demanding the return of their belongings, prosecutors say U.S. private vaults intentionally marketed itself to criminals by stressing that customers could rent boxes anonymously. Okay, not illegal. Like, look, it's a private vault company. Of course, criminals are going to use it. I mean, duh, but it's not illegal to rent boxes anonymously. A U.S. postal inspector alleged in court papers that Michael Polyak, an owner of the business, has admitted to making money from healthcare fraud and illegal marijuana sales. Polyak could not be reached for comment. No
healthcare fraud?
Yeah, he's got all that COVID money.
I was going to say, is that part of the $40 billion that
$40 billion of COVID healthcare fraud in California?
Oh, my gosh.
Some lawyers for box holders say the government's entire operation is a money grab to acquire tens of millions of dollars for the Justice Department through forfeiture. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office denied that and said some of the money it recovers will go to crime victims.
No, it's not.
No, we're gonna give it to victims. In civil forfeitures, no criminal conviction is required. The government just needs to prove that it's more likely than not that the money or property it seeks to confiscate was linked to criminal activity. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's not good.
They just need to prove more likely than not. That's like not beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, we are talking about the state where if you make any damages less than $1,000, it's practically legal.
That's
you can steal under $1,000 and you can't do nothing.
And they're not going to arrest you, right? Yeah. The lax standard of evidence was apparent in the forfeiture complaint filed Monday against two brothers from Woodland Hills. The government wants to keep the $960,000 in cash it took from one of their safe deposit boxes and the $519,000 it took from the other. Wow, these guys had a lot of cash. Prosecutors say that theft, fraud, and money laundering justify the forfeiture, but the complaint's only evidence was that one of the brothers, it did not say which one, had allegedly been in contact with, in quotes, suspected armed robbers of cellular phone stores. Their lawyer, Benjamin Gluck, called the complaint an appalling and unconstitutional abuse of power. Prosecutors also produced scant evidence. They go through some more money that people had taken. Let's see here. This
is a long article.
Yeah, it just goes through like a bunch of the people who are trying to get their money back. But yeah, long story short, the FBI just broke into this bank and stole everybody's money. And you know, the part about it is like, yeah, probably some of that money was gotten with crime, but what about the hundreds of other people's stuff that you stole that now they have to fight to get back? The FBI does not have to fight to keep any of it, and that's why they're kind of not really fighting it. The strategy here is, oh, the FBI needs some money. They break into this bank, steal all of these people's stuff, and then just hold it. And if the people want to come get it and fight it, then those people have to get lawyers and sue the FBI to get their stuff back. The people who don't show up and don't sue the FBI don't get their stuff back. And yeah, maybe they're criminals, and that's what the FBI is counting on. They do a dragnet, they steal everybody's stuff, yeah, they'll get sued a bunch and have to give some back, but some people won't sue and they just get to keep the money. And yeah, it's a literal bank heist from the FBI.
We got to find the criminals, Basil. We gotta shake the old tree there, and just the real criminals will stand up when we take everybody's money.
I mean, I get it. Apparently the FBI is so strapped for cash, they just have to go rob a bank.
It's very similar to comparing everybody as a threat to society, especially the unvaccinated, as a threat to society. They're like healthy people.
Yeah.
Kind of similar. Just assuming guilt before anything is proven.
Totally.
I don't like it, but I'm not surprised either. There you go, the FBI.
FBI, open up! A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
Well, along those same lines, what could they be using all that money for? Maybe some
drugs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. CNBC, small crowd gathers near the Capitol to protest arrests of January 6 rioters. There was a Anyway, I'm just going to read the bullet points. A sparse crowd of demonstrators gathered near the nation's capital to rally for those criminally charged in the January 6 deadly pro-Trump insurrection. Protesters were met with heavy presence of local, state, and federal law enforcement and members of the press, outnumbering event attendees. Yeah. U.S. Capitol Police made a few arrests Saturday in an otherwise non-violent demonstration, according to the department's social media. Now, a lot of photos.
This is like the government put on a parade.
Yeah.
To just have some PR.
No, I know. Yeah. You got all these guys in the riot gear, which I don't know if they've updated the riot gear. It's starting to look kind of like Starship Troopers.
And it looks brand spanking new.
That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, this might have been just a PR to show off their new gear there.
I think so.
But social media was on fire with various photos from this event. And
just for a little bit of background,
sure.
This started getting advertised, and Trump himself and other sort of political influencers were saying, "Don't go to this.
It's a trap.
This is a trap. We're not doing this. This is put on by the feds. Don't show up to this thing." And looks like most people got the message.
Yeah.
It was literally pretty much just all law enforcement, reporters, and fake Fed boys.
Well, there's hilarious photos from this thing. So this guy tweeted out, this is a Dave Blue Trader 660 tweeted out with a some things here. It's a photo of the event, but some talking points. One, athletic style sunglasses. It's a photo of these guys, these like jock looking guys that are all obviously feds.
Yeah.
And he points out the consistency here. So you got athletic style sunglasses. Everybody has the same kind of sunglass.
Yeah.
G-Shock watches. Because
they're all wearing the same watch.
Because they're not allowed to have Apple watches, because their situation. Hands in interview stance, very unrelaxed.
Yeah.
Number 4, when cops are in a group, they never look at each other. They're always scanning. And in parentheses, I've had to stop myself from doing this in my new career.
Yeah.
It looks like this person has some experience. And 5, don't appear armed. Maybe a bag nearby. Although some people have pointed out everybody's got a pocket full of stuff, and they're saying maybe they're packing some heat in their short shorts. They're all wearing like these trendy
weird,
short shorts.
Tight, preppy shorts. They do not look like someone who would, in earnest, show up to a pro January 6th rally.
It's just the funniest picture.
They all got the crop top Fed haircut.
Yeah.
They all wear these sporty sunglasses. They're all standing all awkwardly. And they're standing in a group. Like, they're obviously pretending to be together, but nobody is looking at one another.
Yeah,
they're all scanning the
scanning.
crowd, all sketchy. It is the sketchiest thing ever. It's a hilarious photo.
Well, the guy in the middle there has dress socks socks. Like he didn't get the memo. Like he didn't get the full wardrobe. He's like, I don't have the socks, fellas. Just wear the dress socks. You'll be fine.
And they're all wearing essentially the exact same outfit.
I know.
Which is t-shirt, shorts that go above the knee, and Vans. Yeah. Like a memo went out.
Yeah.
Like wear a watch, wear sporty sunglasses, wear a trendy t-shirt and some tight shorts and some Vans. You'll blend right in.
For those of you watching, here's the photo without all the markers. Just same photo. There's another photo that people were sharing around from the event. A guy with the Nazi flag with the Confederate t-shirt. Nazi flag, you can still see the fold marks again, the
brand new flag,
brand new Nazi
came
flag
out of the plastic.
And cargo pants, and clearly, white supremacists. Just the threat to the nation is real, folks. Beware of these white hogs.
Cargo pants are so funny.
And then there's the guy with in the background with I don't know what the haircut is. It's like a Kim Jong-un style haircut. You see what I'm looking at?
No, I don't see it.
I don't know if I can zoom in here. He's wearing like all black.
Oh, the guy in all black. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so weird, man.
It's so not real. Like this is all.
It's
so
a great.
Staged.
I know it's a great PR opportunity. You saw this same thing with the Confederate flag on January 6th. The famous guy who walked the Confederate flag around the Capitol building. The first time since the Civil War, the Confederate flag made it into it was like creased, had literally just gotten unpacked. This was not some like Southern boys granddaddy's flag. It's the same stuff. It's just the exact same stuff. Yeah. And as noted, there was more police, more reporters than people actually showed up to this thing. It was a complete hoax.
Well, it's funny though, because I mean, they must realize now, it's not going to work. This type of thing is not going to work. Or they don't care. They're just going to be able to.
I don't think they care because they get the pictures out of it. It's a literal false flag. It's a false flag operation.
Go down in history as another.
Yeah, this photo is just going to show up in a history book somewhere, just like the January 6th. Confederate flag guy. Then it's going to show this Nazi flag guy. Oh, this Nazi came to support January 6th, so therefore, blah 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 blah. It's the same stuff. I mean, and the problem is because the mainstream media is going to blast out the narrative. It's just going to become history.
Well, I thought it was funny though that a lot of the mainstream outlets had to say that there wasn't a lot of people that showed up to this thing. And almost
I know, it is kind of a weird.
It puts them.
The logic doesn't add up.
I know
almost.
It puts them kind of in a difficult place because it's like, well, if we acknowledge it too much, then we're kind of saying that it's not a real threat.
It's not a real threat, right? That's the problem they're in.
Yeah.
It exists, so it's a threat. But there wasn't that many people, so it's not a threat. But it really was. It was a big warning. There was a article that came out. I forget who. I should have brought it. I think it was a CNN article that was like the pro January 6th Trump rally that happened this weekend wasn't that bad, but it was really bad, and here's why. Like that was almost word for word what the headline was. I was like,
oh, here's a couple.
Make up your mind, guys. What are you talking about?
This was
the PSYOP is strong, I guess.
Oh, yeah. This
lesson.
Is the Daily Beast being mirrored on Yahoo News. Capitol rioters' pity party played the Nazi card, of course.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
What do you mean played the Nazi? What is the Nazi card? Is it? I think what they meant to say is FBI's fake false flag parade played the Nazi card, of course.
The Atlantic headline, hardly anyone showed up at the Justice for J6 rally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe because it wasn't real.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yahoo Finance, Capitol riot supporter compares insurrectionists to Jews under Nazi rule. What?
Okay.
They really wanted to push that narrative, I guess.
They really, really did. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have anything really else. It was just such a pitiful showing.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
It's so blatant. You don't even really have to dig into it that much.
Well, because Trump is the guy. That guy.
Trump. All right, you want to tell us about space and we can get out of here at a timely hour?
I thought there was no space. What are we talking about?
Space. Wanna go to space?
This is Republic World.
Did you like that hilarious skit, everyone?
RepublicWorld.com. Inspiration for crew. Croons to NFT-based song in space. Creates record.
What? I didn't understand a word of that.
Well, let me read some of it for you here. Space. Oh, let me make the text larger. My old eyes can't see. SpaceX's Inspiration 4 left for orbit on September 15th, 2021, in what is touted as the world's first all-civilian mission. While this is not the only first ever claimed by the mission, as the cargo also included the first ever NFT-based song to be played in space.
Wow.
The song was prepared as a collaboration between St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Kings of Leon, and Inspiration 4. The non-fungible or unique digital token has a live performance of the song Time in Disguise, combined with visuals created especially for the NFT-based songs' live recording. As the song was played in space, it became the first, quote, minted music NFT to be played in the space.
In the space?
In the space.
Why did they say it that way?
I don't know.
Weird.
As of 4 p.m., on September 20th, 2021, the highest bid for the NFT of Time in Disguise, KY Kings of Leon live on tour, is $50,000. As mentioned on the link provided in the tweet, buyer will receive the iPhone 12 used by the crew of Inspiration 4 to play the NFT in orbit. Buyer will also have the opportunity to meet the crew of Inspiration 4 and the opportunity to meet the Kings of Leon. Travel and accommodations included. This auction will be open for bidding
so
September
this
9th.
NFT is just a ticket to meet the Kings of Leon.
No, it was the first device to play an NFT song in space, in the space, Basil.
In the
Get
space.
with it. And St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So, children.
These NFTs are getting out of control.
It's for children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Save the kids.
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw in that NFT angle because it's just so funny that this article was all stoked about the NFT in space.
I mean, it shows just how much hype has to go into these NFTs to sell them. Like,
I don't know,
this
man.
one is made by a famous artist. This one is made by another famous artist. This one made it to space, and also you get to meet the Kings of Leon and some civilian space people. Isn't that cool? $50,000, please.
I'm telling you, we're missing out. We should mint our own NFTs. We can get some, some people to buy it.
This NFT crashed into the firmament.
Which brings me to this, just to wrap things up here. And I tweeted it out because I had the photos here because there was on the Inspiration 4, I think it was called the Dragon. Maybe it wasn't the Dragon. Maybe that was just part of it. There was a cupola on the craft that they're in, and apparently, allegedly, they went further out than Bezos and Richard Branson. They made it past the International Space Station. So this was like a true...
Whoa, that's really out there.
Yeah, this is like a true thing, over 1 million miles above the Earth, allegedly. And there's a photo of him in this cupola. There's one of the guys, a photographer, in the cupola. And
for those who don't know what a cupola is,
Okay.
You mean just like a bubble window?
They call it a cupola. Yes, it's a bubble window, but they're in a spaceship, so bubble window is a cupola.
Okay.
I don't know what it looks like on the inside. Maybe there's a little sofa to sit in and read a book. I don't know.
Fun.
So yeah, he's got a camera there, and he's holding it up for the photo op. And then it shows another photo from the other side where it has his same guy in there taking the photo, and then the Earth. And you can see the Earth, and it's round-ish.
How are they taking a picture from the outside of
they got
GoPros
cameras
or something?
Yeah, they got cameras on the outside of the thing on either side of the cupola, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay. I mean, it would be amazing if they really did get that far out, but it doesn't prove anything. Like, I don't know. It doesn't. I know people bring up the star thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that's one argument. Where are the stars? Which, again, if you understand how light works, it's understandable that if the Earth is blaring at you, then all other light outside
especially
of it is,
with a camera.
Yeah, the camera has to focus in.
You wouldn't be able to set the exposure. Like you either
without
get to
blowing
see
out
the Earth, you'd blow out the Earth if you had to set the exposure for the stars in the back. I mean, I think it's more of if you were going to fake it, then you would put the stars, is the thing.
That is interesting. And then the other thing is, where's the sunlight? If why is it so pitch dark behind the? So one of the photos is like a front view of the camera guy in the cupola. And there's no light behind him, yet the Earth is just lit up.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I'm not going to break it down here.
I mean, and then, of course, on the return, I watched some of the broadcast of the return down to Earth. And, there's typical re-entry. There's a break point where there's no communication and all that stuff, which, of course, is just feeding.
Which is when they're resetting the stage.
Yeah. I'm bringing them back in. So I don't know. Obviously, it doesn't end the debate, but
I want to know what this window is made out of, that it doesn't like break off on re-entry or something.
It's double paned.
Kind of weird.
Looks like.
Usually okay, well, if it's double paned, why didn't you say so?
Legit.
Yeah. All right. Cool. It's like they built their own little firmament on their
spaceship. I know. That's the other thing is that, it's like a little troll of the dome concept, right there in the photo. Like, oh, yeah, you want a dome? Here's a guy in a dome taking a picture of the Earth. It's a troll job. It's trolls all around.
Troll job. All right. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back on Wednesday. That'll be the 22nd of September. That's Wednesday, the 22nd of September. And that will be for episode 392 of Canary Cry News Talk. And if you're out there and you appreciate what we do on the show, please consider becoming a producer. Obviously, times are tough, and some crazy amount of people live paycheck to paycheck. We totally understand. We live episode to episode. And so if you want to see Canary Cry News Talk continue, please consider becoming a producer for next episode, 391. And I do want to thank our producers for this episode. Sorry, next episode is 392. Thank you for the producers of this episode, episode 391. And that is producers Carl, Jezreel, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Emily T, Daniela O, Gail M, Sarah G, Aaron J, Scott K, JC, Brant W, Sir Sam is the Knight of the Fishes, Big Tank, Veronica D, Juan A, Runk Smash, Ciara, and Heatherus. Thank you guys for making this show possible. And of course, thank you to our time stampers, our musicians, and our artists for helping produce the show. That is our international team of producers, folks. They keep the show going. We couldn't do it without them, and we can't do it without you. So please consider going to patreon.com/CCNT or CanaryCryRadio.com/support. CanaryCryRadio.com/support. And That's right, CanaryCryRadio.com/support. But you can support the show in all sorts of ways, not just financially. If you're a creative person, create jingles or art or music or whatever you create. Make something for the show, by the show, send it in. We love to feature it on the show. You can send that to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or CanaryCryRadio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it secret. You can also help out the show by leaving ratings and reviews. Ratings and reviews, that's right. It really helps boost the algorithms. Unfortunately, we are beholden to the algorithms in one manner or another. But this is a great way to help the show. We have no control over these algorithms. In fact, you, dear listener, are the only one who has control over them. And if you leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, it kicks those algorithms into high gear, so it shares the show with new people who have never heard of it or seen it before. And it really works. When we hit a quota of 5 or so reviews a week, we can see on the charts hundreds of new people find the show. And so there you go. We're going to be reading those live on the air on Friday. So please do that. It'll be very helpful. Okay, go ahead and hit it. Wow. And remember, you can head to CanaryCryMeetups.com. That's very important. You need to find people who think like you, who are aware of the things going on, and who listen to the show. I guarantee there are some of those people around you. Go to CanaryCryMeetups.com, see if there's a meetup going on near you. If there's not, go ahead and put one on yourself. You can see the instructions on there and let us know about it. We'll talk about it on the show. We love helping Canarians find each other, make friends, hang out together. It's a good thing to do. Canary Cry Radio. Nope. CanaryCryMeetups.com. See you at the meetup, Gons.
Oh, yes.
This is fun!
That's right. And you can also help out the show just by sharing it. Share it on your social media. Share it out to your friends. Sharing the show. It's the only way that new people find, well, not the only way, but is the main way that new people find the show, because people trust your recommendations when you share the show with them. You know who can benefit from Canary Cry News Talk. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You can do it on your social media. You can text it to them. You can, let's see here, download the podcast. I already did the Ice Cube one. I did the Podcast Cheese one. I did the Asphalt one. Well, here's an even better one. Just go ahead and download the podcast. Put it onto your stereo system in your car. Roll down those windows, baby. It's fall. Let the cool air flow through your car as you blast Canary Cry News Talk, as you slowly roll down your neighborhood, and your neighbors will say, "What is that noise? Who is bothering me?" And they'll go outside and they'll have a whole carton of eggs they're about to throw at you out of frustration. But then they'll hear the sweet, dulcet tones of Canary Cry News Talk, and you just look at them and you wink and you do some finger guns at them, and then suddenly their cage will be rattled, baby, because that's what we call it. We call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
Yeah. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household, but he who hates bribes will live. It's Proverbs 15:27 there.
Listen up, politicians.
Yeah, and Pfizers.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Come on, man. Think minority. This is not about freedom or personal choice. Need time. Keep yapping, man. Boy, it's really a productive segment, man. Need time. Need time. 120 days. Give me a break. I wrote the bill. Feed him more. Get vaccinated. Feed him more. Get vaccinated. I wrote the bill. Give me a break. Feed him more. Get vaccinated.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I wanna shake things up, shake things up. I wanna shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I wanna stir up some controversy. I wanna rattle a few cages. I wanna rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact.
I am vaccine.
Fun fact.
Vaccinations.
Another fun fact.
I am vaccine.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Show your freedom.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. keep the cameras on. In my people's zoo.
Aborted feces.
I'll keep the cameras on now. In my people's zoo.
At the data.
You, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
We will hunt you down and make you pay. Anytime. Sue your freedom. Come on, man.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!
Vaccinations.